Listen carefully. Are you sick of watching your life loop in the same patterns? The same bank balance, the same silence, the same almost. Have you whispered affirmations with cracked lips, prayed from an empty gut, and still awakened to nothing but delay? Then tonight, don't try, don't fight, don't effort your way into another outcome. You've tried that. And I tell you now, it was never effort that moved the world. It was always assumption. It was always inner speech. It was always tone. So as you lay your body down, let these next 3 hours rewrite your vibration from the inside out. You don't have to push. You only need to let go. Whisper this once. It's already mine now, and drift into the state where the world must obey your sleep. You have been taught to work for money, to earn, to strive, to wait. But I tell you, what you strive for, you push away. What you chase, you declare you do not already possess. The secret has never been in the numbers, nor the odds, nor the draw. The secret is not in the ticket you hold, but in the state you assume before you even play. You have been lied to, not by men, but by the voice within you that whispered you were unworthy of sudden, effortless abundance. And that lie has become your God. You were not born to labor under probability. You were not made to bow before systems, statistics, or signs. You are not a beggar. You are the Word made flesh. And what you decree within yourself is what the outer world must kneel and fulfill. The lottery is not a game. It is a mirror, a divine trick to reveal who still lives in doubt and who walks as the I Am. You are not here to win. You are here to remember that you already have. The numbers are only symbols. They are not the cause. They are the echo of your state. I did not try to hide this formula. But the outer man could not hear it. He looked for steps, rituals, affirmations. He waited for signs in the sky or favor from some higher being, never realizing that the highest being was already speaking from the deep within. You did not come here to receive tips. You came to be transformed. And that transformation does not begin when the money comes. It begins when you stop believing that someone it must arrive to. You are not separate from wealth. You are not a servant hoping for inheritance. You are the inheritance itself, pretending to be poor, pretending to be late, pretending to still be hoping. But I tell you, the moment you assume not merely desire, but assume that it is yours, the machinery of this world begins to reorganize itself around that silent decree. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must walk as one whom has already received. And you must do it now. Not after the ticket is drawn, not after you are convinced, but now. For all creation responds not to your prayers, but to your position. Stop asking, stop doubting. Stop postponing your miracle by rehearsing your lack. You have already declared yourself either winner or victim in the silence of your heart. And life is only echoing back the frequency you never knew you were broadcasting. Tonight you will choose again, but not with fear, not with superstition, and not with a hope that trembles in the dark. You will choose as God chooses, in stillness, with certainty, as if the thing already is. This is not magic. It is not manipulation. It is the eternal law of assumption. And it is always working whether you believe in it or not. So I say to you, forget what the world told you about odds. Forget what your past told you about patterns. Forget the lie that something must happen outside for something to change inside. It is reversed, and it has always been reversed. All things proceed from within. When you shift, the world must bend. When you remember, the illusion of chance dissolves. When you speak I am, the universe obeys even in silence. Especially in silence. This is not about money. It never has been. This is about reclaiming your authority over the seen by mastering the unseen. This is about walking into your room tonight, closing the door, and becoming the thing so completely, so vividly, so unshakably that the outer world has no choice but to deliver what your inner man already knows is his. Are you ready? Then let the lie die. Let the waiting end. Let the outer man be still. The formula is not a secret. It is a vibration. And you are the voice that activates it. You have not been poor because the world withheld from you. You have been poor because you believed in the world more than you believed in yourself. You have knelt before appearances. You have made your senses your master. You have waited for proof before allowing yourself to feel the thing as done. And in doing so, you have rejected the only doorway through which creation flows. For creation never begins on the outside. It never waits for conditions. It answers only to states. And your state has been denial. You have watched others win and you said, "Why not me?" And I say to you, because you still imagine yourself as one who must ask rather than one who already receives. You say you believe in manifestation, but your inner speech tells a different story. You ask with your lips, but in the silence you rehearse lack. You fantasize about wealth but fall asleep in fear. You affirm but you do not assume. You hope but you do not inhabit. This is the fracture. This is the gap between what you think you believe and what your inner man actually holds as real. And it is from this gap that all delay is born. For what you truly assume, not with effort, but with ease, not with struggle, but with surrender, becomes inevitable. It does not need to be earned. It does not need to be fought for. It becomes you. And the world merely reflects. But the world has trained you to doubt your own creative center. You were taught that hard work produces wealth, that effort is virtue, and that sudden abundance is suspicious. And so, even when your heart leapt at the thought of instant reaches, your subconscious recoiled. "It can't be that easy," it whispered. "I am not lucky." And so, the gate slammed shut. Not because it was ever locked, but because you turned the key of assumption the wrong direction. Do you see now why nothing changes? You have not lost because the formula doesn't work. You have lost because you haven't used it. You dip your toe into belief and yank it back when the water feels too still. You imagine what you want and then measure against what you currently have. That is not faith. That is betrayal of the law. You say, "I am ready," but your feelings speak, "I am not yet worthy." And I say to you now, until you break this unconscious covenant with lack, until you sever the pact your inner man has made with delay, you will continue to circle the same desert of hope and disappointment. Not because the law failed you, but because you've not yet fully inhabited the state that fulfills the law. What is the state of the winner? It is not euphoria. It is not shock. It is not trembling. It is quiet knowing. It is the sacred breath that exhales. Of course it was me. The real winner does not scream. He remembers. She does not beg. She receives. The frequency of wealth is stillness in motion. Containment without contraction. And if you are still oscillating between belief and disbelief, if your assumption is still leaking out through fear, then the womb cannot conceive. This is not a punishment. It is precision. The law does not mock. It does not tease. It waits and it mirrors and it serves. The moment you inhabit the state fully, and without contradiction, the outer must bend. For there is no lottery outside of the inner man. There is no chance where consciousness reigns. So tonight you must make a choice. Not whether or not to try, but whether or not to finally be. The one who wins is the one who no longer tries. The one who assumes. The one who closes the door, steps into the invisible, and says without sound, "It is already mine," and then lives as though the world could never convince them otherwise. You do not need more evidence. You need more inner agreement. You do not need a sign. You need alignment. And that alignment begins the moment you stop living from desire and start living from fulfillment. You are not here to be worthy. You are here to be willing. Willing to let the outer world follow the inner vibration without needing to ask how or when. The harvest comes to the one who lives as if the seed has already taken root. And if tonight you will dare to assume, dare to feel, dare to let go of the one who always waits, you will see that life is not random, that winning is not rare, and that your fortune has been waiting for your permission to arrive. The world tells you there are rules, fixed odds, external powers. It teaches you that your only hope is to try harder, work smarter, or wait longer. But I tell you now, none of that creates. Nothing outside of you has ever held the key. For the only law that governs the unfolding of your life is this assumption hardens into fact. What you believe yourself to be is what this world must express. You think the lottery is a drawing of numbers. I say the lottery is a mirror of states. The ticket in your hand is not a tool. It is a test. It reveals whether you have assumed the frequency of wealth or still carry the vibration of want. And unless you understand this mystery, you will repeat the same outer failures while calling them fate. Hear me. There is no luck. There is only law. And the law responds not to your words, not to your effort, but to the nature of your being. The secret formula I speak of is no secret at all. It is the law of reversibility. That which you would feel after the win, you must feel before. And in doing so, you cause the effect. For every outer manifestation is simply the echo of an inner arrangement. You think the numbers matter? I say they are shadows, symbols of your inner state. The one who wins is not the one who guesses correctly. It is the one who already feels himself in possession, before the number is even drawn. The numbers arrange themselves to reflect the state already accepted. What you call coincidence, I call obedience. The world obeys your assumption so perfectly, so relentlessly, that it will disguise it as chance so you never suspect your own power. I did not come to teach you how to control the world. I came to reveal that you already do. You do not need to ask for anything. For the asking implies separation. You need only claim. You need only assume. For I am is the center of all creation. Not your name, not your past, not your job or your income, but the silent awareness declaring I am. Whatever you affix to it becomes your law, your path, your experience. I am poor and you prove it. I am waiting and you prolong it. I am chosen and the heavens themselves align to reflect it. So let me speak the sacred reversal. You do not win the lottery and then feel wealthy. You feel wealthy, and the lottery must appear to justify the inner state. The outer must match the inner. That is law. There is no alternative. But it must be a true assumption, not a hopeful rehearsal. It must be lived, not whispered, felt, not repeated. It must be taken into the secret place of the Most High, into the deep silence of your inner sanctuary, and claimed as already done. You must walk as the one who has already received. You must sleep in it, speak from it, breathe it, not as fantasy, as fact. For what you feel in imagination is more real than what you touch in flesh. Imagination is not pretend. Imagination is the womb of all creation. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you accept. What you dwell upon within becomes law without. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetry. This is the very code of reality. The unseen becomes seen through feeling. The wish fulfilled is not an outcome. It is a dwelling place. And when you live there, the world cannot resist you. But it will delay for as long as you delay. It will resist for as long as you doubt. For the world is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It is your divine servant, answering only to the command of your inner man. Now hear this and hear it deep. I am the cause of all. I do not wait for luck. I do not hope for signs. I speak the word and it becomes flesh. I walk in the assumption and it becomes fact. I turn within and the world bends without. There is no power above me, for I and the Father are one. The Father is your unconditioned awareness. The Son is your present assumption. And these two are always creating. So if you ask me for the secret formula, I say this. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remain there. Do not waver. Do not explain. Do not seek confirmation. Walk as if it were already true. And the world will prove it to you. You are not here to react. You are here to remember. And what you remember within becomes what you meet without. The moment you no longer need to win, you will. The moment you stop asking how, the path will reveal itself. The moment you stop rehearsing lack and begin resting in fullness, the numbers will appear not as gifts but as echoes, not as miracles, but as inevitabilities. For what you assume with feeling, in stillness, in silence, in faith, that is the thing the world must reflect. It cannot do otherwise. So now I ask you, will you use it tonight, not in theory, not with partial belief, but with the totality of your inner focus? Will you take this holy formula into the chamber of self and close the door behind you? For that is where it must begin. That is where the unseen becomes flesh. Not in front of the television, not at the counter where you check your numbers, but within where the true numbers are drawn by you, for you from you. The outer lottery is a symbol. The inner feeling is the cause. And the only question is, will you live from it before it appears? Come now, let me show you how. Step into the silence. Not a forced silence, but a sacred one. A silence that forgets the world and remembers the self. Close the door, not just of your room, but of your mind. Let no doubt enter. Let no fear speak. And let no voice be louder than the one you choose to believe. That voice is not shouting. It is not dramatic. It is quiet but eternal. And it says only one thing. I am now from this stillness. See yourself not from behind. Not as if watching. Be yourself having already received. Do not picture the win. Embody it. Do not hope, assume. Choose one scene, one natural, plausible, vivid moment that implies the wish is fulfilled. Let it be short. Let it be clear. And let it be felt. Perhaps it is the weight of the ticket in your hand. Numbers drawn and matched. Perhaps it is the voice of your closest friend, screaming with disbelief. Perhaps it is the screen glowing with your bank balance, now impossibly full. It does not matter what it is. It only matters that you feel its reality. Tonight you must see with the eyes behind the eyes. You must feel with the heart that creates. Let the scene loop. Let the vibration of it is done overtake all thought. Breathe from it. Relax into it. And the moment it becomes realer than the outer world, you have entered the state. Stay there. This is the key so many miss. They visit the state. They do not live in it. But you must dwell there. You must become so saturated in the feeling that when you open your eyes, the outer world feels like a memory, and the inner scene feels like the only truth. That is assumption. That is the law. That is the point of no return. Resist the temptation to look for confirmation, to ask when, to wonder how. The seed planted in the unseen will not bloom by being dug up every morning. Contain your frequency. Do not let it leak through doubt or discussion. Do not seek to explain your miracle to those still ruled by sight. Let your silence protect the seed. Go to sleep tonight, not as one who is hoping, but as one who has already received. Let your inner man fall into slumber with the memory of the wind, not the desire for it. Sleep in the feeling, and you will rise in its world. And when the day begins again, you walk as the winner, not by changing your words, but by remaining in the vibration. Let every movement carry the stillness of one who knows. Let your breath become the proof. Let your inner speech be one long prayer of thank you. Not a gratitude for what might happen, but for what already is. The numbers they will align. The event it will bend to your assumption. The outer question mark. It cannot resist the inner, and it is not your task to watch the world shift. It is your task to remain unchanged while it does. You do not chase the prize. You do not beg the universe. You do not rehearse your fears. You hold the feeling. You walk in the assumption. You walk in the state and the world conforms. Do this without strain. Do this without desperation. For if your frequency is urgency, you will attract more delay. But if your frequency is calm possession, life must obey. Containment is your power. The more still you are, the more the world must move. Understand this. Manifestation is not performance. It is identity. You do not do the ritual to become the winner. You are the winner, and everything you do flows from that truth. So tonight you do not need to visualize perfectly. You need only feel truthfully. You do not need to get every detail right. You need only dwell in the end. That end is a frequency. That frequency is a vibration. And that vibration is your dominion. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for numbers. You are not waiting for a breakthrough. You are waiting for nothing. Because in truth, it is done. And when you move as if it is done, the world begins to remember who you are. The mirror clears. The echo speaks and the impossible arrives in silence. As if it had always belonged to you, because it has. Now comes the crossing. The old man still whispers. The outer world still looks the same. The numbers have not yet changed. And this is the threshold where most turn back. This is the test not of strength but of silence. Not of willpower but of identity. Will you now move as the one who has already received, or will you collapse again into the one who waits? Do not look to the sky. Do not beg the stars to align. The stars were born from the same I am that breathes within you now. The numbers on the lottery ticket are paper, reflections of the divine idea, already assumed in consciousness. The sequence is not ahead of you. It is behind your eyes. And it will unfold in the exact moment when your inner man no longer doubts, no longer asks, no longer checks, but simply is. You will feel it not as excitement, but as stillness, a sacred quietness that overtakes you, a strange confidence that needs no explanation. It will feel as though the thing already happened long ago, and you are only now remembering it. You will walk lighter. You will speak less. You will feel no urgency, because the true shift is not dramatic. It is sovereign. It is the vibration of inevitability. You have become the winner and the world is now catching up. The old man may knock again. The doubt may return. The feeling may fluctuate. But if you have truly passed through the gate, it will no longer matter, because your response will no longer be to fix it, but to remember who you are. I say to you now, the numbers are irrelevant. The outcome is already imprinted in the silence of your assumption. You do not need to win. You already have. You do not need proof. You are the proof. And when you walk into the world with that energy, the world does not argue, it rearranges. This is not arrogance. This is obedience to the law of I am. The world is not against you. It is a servant of your conviction. It will deliver what you already are, not what you wish to be. So if you remain in the end, unmoved, the end must appear, not as miracle, as law. And now I ask you, will you return to the outer man who hopes, or will you remain as the inner man who knows? I have told you these things so that you would no longer wait, so that you would no longer beg life to bless you. But instead remember you are the blessing. You are the one the numbers bow to. You are the one the odds cannot resist. You are the one reality must obey. Let the outer world be still. Do not seek, do not chase, do not speak. Walk, sleep, breathe, and hold this inner command without sound. It is done. You are no longer who you were. You cannot return to the old self. Not now. Not after this knowing. The one who waited has been dismissed. The one who begged has vanished. The one who lived from delay has been folded into silence. What remains is you, untouched, unshaken, eternal. The I am. Tonight you do not visualize. You assume, you do not hope, you inhabit. And when the world tries to reflect the old, you do not react, you do not fight. You remember because you have seen the truth. Reality is not ahead of you. It is behind your eyes. You walk now, as the one who already holds the winning ticket, not in your hand, but in your being. You go to sleep not to wait, but to reaffirm. And when you rise tomorrow, you do not check the numbers. You carry the frequency, and that frequency bends reality to you in ways so precise, so poetic, so inevitable, it will feel as if it had no choice but to obey. Because it didn't. So now say nothing. Make no declaration. Move through this world as if the world must follow your vibration. And if something inside you woke up today, if something old fell away, you stand at the crossroads, weighted down by debt, a burden that feels as if it is carved into your very flesh, a shadow stretching across every breath, every moment, every thought. Yet what if I told you that this weight, this shadow, is not your destiny, but your assumption? That debt is not a fixed condition, but a mental prison built from repeated agreements, whispered into the depths of your consciousness. There is a reversal, a single profound mental act that can unravel the chains and flood your life with overflow. This reversal is not a trick of the mind, but a law as ancient as creation itself. A divine law that governs every particle of your experience. In this moment, despair may clutch your heart, but hope flickers like a sacred flame waiting to be stoked. For you are not bound by your current circumstances. You are bound only by the beliefs you hold. And these beliefs can be overturned with one mental shift, a reversal of assumption so radical, so complete that it transforms debt into abundance, limitation into freedom. This is the power Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of in hushed tones. The power to rewrite your reality by rewriting your identity. But understand this well. This is no quick fix. It is no fleeting affirmation to be whispered and forgotten. It is an invitation to step into a new way of being, to don a new garment woven from the threads of overflow and faith. It requires surrender to the sacred process of mental transformation, a commitment to hold the new assumption with unwavering conviction. It asks that you turn your back on the old identity shackled by debt and walk boldly into the radiant self that already lives within you. Tonight you will learn this reversal. You will begin the journey from scarcity to overflow, from bondage to liberation. You will discover how to cultivate the fertile soul of your imagination and plant the seed of wealth that will grow unseen but unstoppable. And if you will walk this path with me, your life will bear witness to the divine truth. What you assume to be true becomes your fact. Are you ready to step through this door, to let the phoenix rise from your ashes? Then come, the hour is now. You have felt the weight of debt pressing down on your spirit. The silent voice in your mind whispering, "Not enough." The anxious breath that tightens your chest as you stare at the numbers that seem to multiply instead of diminish. Yet this crushing reality, while painfully real to your senses, is not the foundation of your existence. It is a projection, a shadow cast by the inner assumptions you have carried without full awareness. You have spoken words of hope, recited affirmations, and made plans to break free. But the invisible chains remain unbroken because they are woven from belief, not from mere circumstance. Your conscious desires to escape debt clash with the hidden script playing beneath your awareness. The mind is a master illusionist projecting a fractured image of your true self. In this fractured reflection, you see scarcity where there is potential, limitation where there is abundance. The struggle is not external, it is internal. Your outer world is a mirror, and the reflection you meet each day is shaped by your unspoken agreements, your mental patterns, your repeated convictions. Many try to will their way out to work harder, to make smarter choices. Yet the mental route remains unaddressed. It is like mopping water from a leaking vessel without first sealing the hole. Your outer efforts are noble, but without the inward reversal, they only delay the inevitable repetition of debt. This is the spiritual paradox Florence revealed. The outer world cannot be changed without first changing the inner world. Tonight, you will begin to see that your debt is not a sentence, but a symptom, not a destiny. The door that opens only when you reverse the mental assumption that sustains it. You are called now to recognize the lie beneath the surface, the belief that debt defines you, and to step beyond it. This is the first step to transforming lack into overflow, bondage into liberation. Open your mind to this truth. The prison of debt is not made of chains and contracts alone. It is forged in the furnace of repeated thought and feeling. Break the pattern there and the world must follow. It is law. It is promise, and it is waiting for your command. Listen well, for here lies the heart of transformation, the divine principle that governs all creation. The law of assumption. This law is not a theory, nor a hopeful suggestion, but a cosmic decree that what you assume as true within your consciousness will manifest without. Debt, lack, limitation. These are nothing but assumptions deeply held and repeatedly affirmed. But they can be undone, overturned, reversed by the singular act of mental and emotional substitution. To turn debt into overflow is to enact a mental reversal that does not deny reality, but transforms it at its root. It is the spiritual resurrection from the grave of limitation into the boundless light of abundance. The law demands that you cease to identify with your debt, to refuse its claim on your identity, and instead assume the feeling of overflow as your present state. The feeling is the seed. The assumption is the soil. The unfolding is inevitable. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the sacred act of creation itself. You do not conjure money by wishing or desperation. You embody the state of one who lives in perpetual abundance. You whisper the truth to your subconscious mind, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. And the subconscious, which knows no difference between fact and vivid imagination, begins to reorder your experience accordingly. Florence taught that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. But faith must be sustained by feeling. The feeling of the wish fulfilled, not by longing for fulfillment. This is the mental reversal to no longer live as one drowning in debt, but as one swimming in the overflow, as one whose bank balance is a reflection of inner riches. This principle is your key to freedom. It is the reversal of all lack, and it is the only true cause behind the change you seek. When you hold this law sacred, when you apply it with unwavering conviction, the outer world must bow before the inner reality. This is your power, your promise, your divine right. Prepare now to enter the practical path of application. The sacred steps that will bring this mental reversal to life, embedding it in your being so that debt dissolves and overflow reigns. Begin now the solemn act of honest self-examination. Look within and observe without judgment the mental landscape that sustains your debt. This landscape is not barren. It is filled with roots of fear, guilt, doubt, and old belief patterns intertwined like thick vines. These are the invisible architects of your experience, shaping every breath, every thought, every choice. To begin the reversal, you must first confess this hidden architecture, not to condemn, but to illuminate. See how your mind clings to scarcity as if it were a lifeline. Notice the subtle whispers of unworthiness that linger beneath your conscious affirmations. Observe how the shadow of past failures projects itself onto present possibilities, convincing you that lack is your rightful state. These mental chains have been forged not overnight, but through years of repeated agreements, each thought a link, each feeling a lock. This confession is not a retreat into shame, but a courageous unveiling. By bringing these shadows into the light of awareness, you break their power. They lose the ability to operate in secrecy. And in that loss, they begin to dissolve. You are no longer a passive victim, but an awakened architect of your inner world. Surrender now to this process. Release the struggle to control outcomes through external means. Understand that the key to your liberation lies not in the world outside, but in the kingdom within. The mental reversal you seek begins here, in the sacred act of seeing your truth and choosing to step beyond it. As you stand before this mirror, ready to shatter the illusion of limitation, prepare your heart to receive the new assumption, the overflowing self, waiting patiently to replace the data. This recognition is your first step toward resurrection. With your eyes now open to the mental state that kept you bound, you turn toward the light of transformation, the sacred construction of your new identity. This mental reversal is not a vague wish or half-hearted hope. It is a deliberate, conscious act of creative imagination, a spiritual forge where the old self is melted and recast into the overflowing self. Begin by forming a living picture of your new reality. One where abundance flows freely, debt dissolves, and your needs are met with effortless grace. See yourself walking through this reality with ease. Your hands open, your heart full, your mind clear. Feel the relief washing through your body as scarcity fades into the past, replaced by a joyous certainty that overflow is now your state. This imaginal scene must be rich with sensory detail, not just a mental snapshot, but a full immersion. Hear the sounds of freedom, the laughter of friends, the ringing of celebration, the quiet hum of peace. Smell the freshness of opportunity. Taste the sweetness of success. Feel the warmth of comfort and security, wrapping round you like a garment. This is not fantasy. It is the spiritual architecture of your new self. Hold this mental construction close. Return to it often throughout the day. Let it become the anchor that tethers you to your new assumption. Each time doubt arises, each time the old fear whispers, let this vivid scene pull you back into your rightful place as the sovereign creator of your experience. Remember, this reversal is not achieved through denial of reality, but through a shift in the foundation of consciousness. You are not pretending scarcity does not exist. You are choosing to identify with the overflowing state that transcends it. This choice is your spiritual resurrection, your divine right, your liberation from debt. This is the mental forge where you recode your destiny. And as you shape this new reality in your imagination, you align with the law that governs all things. The law that says, "Whatsoever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." As twilight descends and the body begins its descent into rest, you engage in the sacred ritual of rehearsing your new assumption before sleep. This most potent threshold between worlds where the inner seed is sown deep into the fertile soil of the subconscious. It is not a repetition of words, but a deep immersion into the feeling of abundance already fulfilled. A silent, unshakable knowing that what you desire is already yours. Begin by stilling the mind, releasing the day's clutter and noise, and focusing intently on the vivid scene you constructed. The reality where debt no longer holds dominion, where overflow flows freely. Let your breath slow, match in the rhythm of the night, and allow your heart to fill with gratitude, joy, and peace. Speak your mental rehearsal once, clearly, and with conviction, not as a plea, but as a declaration. I am free from debt. Overflow is my natural state. Do not chase thoughts or images. Instead, become the feeling itself. Imagine this assumption as a silent river, flowing gently through your entire being, carrying with it the power to reshape your reality. Fall asleep, cradling this feeling like a sacred flame, trusting the unseen forces to carry your decree through the night's mysterious depths. Understand this. The moment you surrender to sleep, holding this mental rehearsal, you activate the unseen creative process. Your subconscious mind, free from the waking world's distractions, begins weaving your new reality with divine precision. This sacred forge of transformation is the birthplace of miracles where time collapses and the impossible becomes inevitable. Trust this process fully. Do not doubt. Do not resist. Do not awaken yourself from this state prematurely. Sleep is the vessel that births your new world. And when you awaken, you will find that the shift has already begun. The tide's turning quietly beneath the surface of your life. Rest now, beloved, in the knowing that your mental reversal is planted. The universe is listening. The overflow is coming. The dawn brings new challenges, new opportunities to anchor the sacred transformation within your daily life. As the light pours through your window, remember that the mental reversal you planted in sleep is not a fleeting spark, but a steady flame that demands your constant tending. You are no longer a passer-by hoping for abundance. You are the architect, the sovereign who embodies overflow in every breath, every thought, every action. Begin your day with remembrance, not by revisiting doubts or fears, but by returning to the feeling of fullness you rehearsed before sleep. Carry this sensation beneath the surface of your awareness like a hidden river. Its current steady and sure, guiding your choices and responses. When the world tries to pull you back into scarcity through bills, conversations, or old habits, stand firm. Do not engage the shadow of lack, but instead return to the light of your new assumption. This daily embodiment is a sacred discipline. It is not forced or frantic. It is the graceful mastery of your inner frequency. Walk as one who commands, not as one who begs. Speak as one who owns, not as one who hopes. Give as one who is abundant, not as one who fears loss. Your posture, your tone, your silence, all speak volumes to the unseen forces that shape your reality. Guard your inner space carefully. Resist the temptation to explain your transformation to those still bound by old beliefs. Your silence is your power. Your peace is your proclamation. And as you move through your day, let your consistent assumption be the shield that repels doubt and the beacon that attracts opportunity. Remember, this is not a temporary practice, but a new way of being, a spiritual habit that aligns your waking moments with the reality you created in sleep. With each passing day, your mental reversal deepens its roots, transforming not only your finances, but your entire experience of life. Walk now, beloved, in the fullness you have assumed, and watch as the world bends quietly to obey the truth you hold within. Now, as your mental reversal has taken root, and your days are touched with the new vibration, you stand at the sacred threshold of completion, a threshold where old limitations dissolve and new realities are born. You are no longer the one who feared debt, the one who waited in scarcity. You are the one who has stepped into overflow, crowned in quiet authority, seated on the throne of your inner creation. This final initiation is not marked by fanfare or clamor, but by a deep stillness, a sovereign peace that comes from knowing your work is done. The inner man, aligned with divine law, rests in the assurance that the unseen has answered, that the invisible has shaped the visible. You do not need to chase or prove. You walk in the fullness of your assumption, and the world must now obey. Remember the sacred words. What you assume to be true, you become. The mental reversal you embraced is no mere thought. It is the resurrection of your identity. The veil between desire and fulfillment has been lifted, revealing the eternal truth that you are the creator of your experience. Carry this truth with reverence. Speak it softly, live it fully, and guard it jealously. for you have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Your life is now the living testimony to the power of assumption made flesh. Walk forward with silent confidence, knowing that the universe bends at the feet of one who has mastered the art of mental reversal. You are no longer a debtor. You are the overflow. If these words have stirred something deep within you, if the flame of transformation has flickered to life in the quiet corners of your heart, then know this was never by chance. It is a sacred calling, an invitation to remember the power you always held but forgot. The mental reversal you embraced is your covenant with abundance, your hidden key to freedom. I invite you now to mark this moment, not with loud declarations but with a silent nod, a whispered vow in the space below. This is your seal, your acknowledgement, your sacred testimony to the change unfolding within. Return to this teaching when doubt rises, when the old voice whispers, "Not yet." When the world tempts you back into scarcity, come back to remember, not to relearn, to awaken, not to begin again. Walk in this new reality with humility and strength. Speak less, act from stillness, and let your life become the quiet echo of the truth you carry. The universe is already bending to your vibration. The overflow you seek is already flowing through the unseen. You have shifted. You have there is a sacred moment, every night, a brief golden doorway between the day you leave behind and the dawn you have yet to meet. It is in this twilight, this sacred pause of sleep, that the universe listens most closely to the silent whispers of your being. I tell you now, what you say before you close your eyes is not idle chatter or mere habit. It is a divine seed planted deep within your subconscious. And this seed has the power to birth unexpected blessings, including money that comes without warning or struggle. Imagine for a moment that sleep is not just rest, but a sacred act of creation. The final breath you take as you surrender to darkness is a prayer, a command, a covenant with the unseen forces that govern your world. It is the last vibration you send into the vast field of potential. And this vibration, if pure and unwavering, becomes the blueprint from which your next day unfolds. You have been taught to seek, to try harder, to hustle. But I say to you, your true power lies in the stillness before sleep. It is here in the holy silence that you must speak not with words of wanting, but with words of having, not with anxiety, but with joyous certainty. For what you embody as you drift into dreams is the reality that must rise to meet you when your eyes open. Tonight I will share with you the exact phrase to say, the feeling to cultivate, and the sacred ritual to perform, so that you may awaken not just to a new day, but to unexpected money flowing into your life. This is not wishful thinking. It is not guessing at luck. It is the law of assumption in action, the divine art Florence taught with fiery conviction. If you will listen and follow, you will step into a stream of abundance that honors the truth you carry inside. You will become the magnet to the riches that the world has kept just out of reach for too long. But you must do more than repeat words. You must become the vibration wish fulfilled as you enter sleep's sacred portal. This is your initiation, your turning point. Are you ready to claim this power tonight? Then come with me. Let us begin. You have spoken words before. You have whispered hopes in the dark. You have affirmed, repeated, and tried to convince yourself that your desires were near. Yet the money you sought still feels distant, elusive, like a shadow slipping just beyond your grasp. You wonder, why do my words fail? Why does the universe stay silent despite my prayers? This silence is not absence. It is the echo of a deeper dissonance within you. The problem is not the words themselves, but the vessel from which they spring. Your inner world is fractured. A hollow drum echoing words that lack feeling. A leaking vessel pouring your power away before it can take root. You may recite affirmations with your lips, but your heart tells another story. You say, I am wealthy. Yet inside, fear clutches at your mind. You say, I am enough, while doubt shadows your thoughts. This is the shadow puppet of belief. The image you cast for others, while the true self hides in uncertainty. The law of consciousness is precise. It responds not to words alone, but to the feeling behind them. Words without feeling are like seeds scattered on dry ground. They may fall, but they will not grow. The outer world is a mirror reflecting your inner state. And if your state is fractured, your reflection will be fractured. This is why your outer struggle continues despite your prayers. Because your inner speech is dissonant. Because you are still negotiating with doubt, hesitation, and old beliefs. The universe listens to the frequency. You send not to your wishes, but to your being. And if you wish to awaken to unexpected money, your inner world must first be waking. Abundance as a living, breathing reality. Tonight you will learn how to bridge this gap. Not by shouting louder or trying harder, but by speaking from a place so quiet, so certain, so filled with feeling that the subconscious can no longer resist it. You will learn how to fill the vessel so completely that the words you whisper before sleep become sacred commands, planting seeds of wealth deep in your soul. This is your path from hollow echoes to fertile soil, from empty drum to living voice, from wishful thinking to unshakable knowing. Within the hidden chambers of your being lies a sacred power, the creative force behind all manifestation. Florence taught that imagination is God's own hand, weaving the tapestry of reality. The words you speak before sleep are not mere sounds. They are the seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious where time dissolves and creation is born anew. Sleep is not a passive state. It is a divine workshop where the unseen takes shape. The last feeling you carry before surrendering to rest is like a seed buried in rich earth, waiting for the morning sun. If that seed is watered with faith and nurtured with feeling, it grows unseen, compelling the outer world to conform to its pattern. You must understand this law. The outer world is a delayed mirror of your inner assumption. What you accept as true in the unseen realm must appear in form, but only in its appointed time. The process unfolds like a flame glowing steadily in darkness, silent, sure, unstoppable. When you say the words before sleep and truly feel them, as if the desire is already fulfilled, you impress the subconscious mind with a new reality. This is no trick. It is the highest law of being. The law that says whatever you feel to be true will become your experience. So if you fall asleep carrying the joy, the certainty, the abundance of unexpected money, your subconscious mind sets that vibration in motion. It begins to reweave your reality around this new truth. And though the waking world may lag behind, the unseen work is already underway. This is the secret Florence offered to those who would listen. The power of inner speech infused with feeling spoken just before sleep can birth miracles. It aligns you with the infinite current, turning your dreams into living realities. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, you will not just say words. You will plant a sacred seed. You will become the architect of your fortune. And tomorrow, the world will begin to answer. Before the sacred words can take root, you must prepare the vessel that carries them, the mind and body that hold your soul's decree. The day's noise must be laid down like a heavy. At the temple entrance, your thoughts, your worries, your clinging to past failures. They are not companions to creation. They are walls blocking the flow of spirit. Begin by releasing the day. Feel the tension unwind from your shoulders, as though a river flows through your veins, carrying away the residue of struggle. Allow your breath to deepen slow and steady. Let your heartbeat become a sacred drum, marking the rhythm of surrender. The body is your temple, and the temple must be cleansed and quiet before the holy seed can be planted. Stillness is your altar. Not empty but full of potential. Not void but pregnant with possibility. Imagine your mind as a quiet pond. The surface is smooth, reflecting the stars of infinite creation. Every ripple, every disturbance is a broken vibration. Noise that will scatter your seed before it germinates. You are to become an empty cup, not of nothingness, but of readiness. An open vessel waiting to receive the new reality you are about to decree. And as you close your eyes, let the outer world fade. Let the chatter stop. Let the senses grow dim. Step beyond the threshold where the waking mind ceases and the creative spirit awakens. In this sacred state, your inner speech gains power. It moves from a whisper to a command. Your words no longer float untethered, but sink deep into the fertile soil of your being. And this is where the miracle begins. Tonight the vessel is prepared. The altar is set. The stage is quiet. Now you will speak the words that birth your unexpected blessing. But not with empty lips, with full heart. Not with wishful thinking, but with joyous certainty. Now in the stillness you have cultivated, you will speak. Not to wish, not to plead, but to decree. The words you utter before sleep are not mere sounds. They are sacred commands, forged in the fire of your conviction and hammered into the very foundation of your being. Florence taught that language is the vehicle of creation, but only when it carries the weight of feeling, the authority of knowing. The phrase is simple yet profound. Speak it once, clearly, and with the full force of your inner certainty. I am now receiving unexpected money. Do not whisper it lightly or repeat it like a mantra. Speak it once only as a sealed decree, a sacred flame ignited in the darkness. Let the words resonate through your entire being. Feel their power. Taste their truth. Imagine the joy and gratitude, as though the money has already arrived. This feeling is the soul of your command. Remember, the law does not obey words spoken from doubt, hesitation, or lack. It obeys the voice of I am, the self who knows without needing proof. The power lies not in a phrase itself, but in your full-bodied acceptance that it is true here and now. Your imagination is not a playground. It is the throne room of God's creative power. Do not repeat the phrase again and again. To do so is to suggest that the first was insufficient. One utterance from a place of complete belief is enough. The rest is silence. The rest is trust. The rest is surrender. As you speak, see the words burn like a seal upon your heart. They mark the boundaries of your new reality. They call forth the unseen forces to weave your blessing into form. And when you surrender into sleep, these words will carry you deeper into the creative process, anchoring your assumption firmly within the fertile soil of your subconscious. Speak now. Speak with power, speak with joy, and then rest in the knowing. Now with the sacred decree spoken, and the vessel of your mind and heart prepared, you enter the sanctuary of imagination, the divine workshop, where realities are woven into being. This is no mere mental exercise. This is the very breath of creation. The living sculpture formed from the clay of feeling and the fire of belief. As you lie still in the twilight between waking and sleeping, you reach inward to summon a scene so vivid, so richly textured, so alive with the essence of fulfillment, that it feels less like fantasy and more like an awakening memory. You are no longer a spectator, watching a distant event. You are the soul inhabiting the scene, wrapped in its certainty, immersed in its presence, breathing in its joy, as if it were already your very life. See yourself awakening to unexpected money, not as a possibility or a hope, but as an undeniable fact. Imagine the morning sun casting its golden light across your room as your eyes open. Your heart quickens with a deep, unshakable knowing. Hear the subtle sounds of blessing around you, the soft rustle of bills, the tender beep of notifications, confirming deposits you never expected, but now accept without question. Feel the warmth of gratitude flooding your chest, the smile that rises effortlessly to your lips, the lightness in your step that carries the dance of abundance through every fiber of your being. The scene is alive with sensation. Smell the fresh air filling your lungs. Taste the sweetness of victory on your tongue. Feel the texture of reality shifting beneath your fingertips as you reach out to touch the tangible proof of your inner word made flesh. Do not hesitate to adorn this scene with the richness of your senses. Feel the weight of the check or the glow of your bank balance as it reflects your soul's deep truth. See the faces of those around you reacting with wonder or joy, their presence confirming your new timeline without question. Let the entire tableau unfold like a living tapestry, each thread vibrating with the energy of certainty and fulfillment. This is not a future you are chasing. It is a reality you are already inhabiting. Your imagination here is the secret doorway where the unseen becomes seen, where time collapses and the impossible becomes inevitable. But beware of forcing or rushing the vision. Let it come naturally, softly, as a gentle unfolding rather than a frantic chase. Do not mix in doubt or hesitation. Let no trace of someday, or if only taint this sacred moment. This scene must be as seamless as the dawn's first light. A pure, undisturbed reflection of the truth you are declaring with your inner word. As you become absorbed in this vivid imagining, allow joy to flood through you. Not the joy of wanting, but the joy of having, the joy of completion, the joy of the soul recognizing its own power. You are now the artist and the canvas, the dreamer and the dream. And, as you weave this morning's reality from the threads of your imagination, you are planting the deepest root of your new world. This imaginal act is the silent prayer that bends the universe. It is the unseen work that precedes every manifestation. And when you fall asleep in this fulfilled scene, you anchor your assumption with such profound certainty that the outer world cannot help but rearrange itself in accordance. Rest here in this blessed vision. Let it sink into every cell. Let it echo in your breath and pulse in your heartbeat. This is your creation, your altar, your promise sealed not in stone, but in the living light of your consciousness. Tomorrow you will awaken to its unfolding. You have done your sacred work. Now surrender to sleep and let the unseen begin. Now comes the most sacred act, the surrender into sleep. Carrying the fullness of your imagined scene, like a precious flame cradled gently in your chest. This moment is no mere drift into unconsciousness. It is the divine baptism of your new reality. The sacred descent where the invisible seed of your assumption takes root in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and the universe begins its unseen work of manifestation. To fall asleep in the feeling of fulfilled desire is to plant a living command into the deep currents of your being, currents that flow beyond time and space, shaping all that is yet to come. Feel the weight of the day slip away. Feel the softness of the night, unfolding you like a lover's embrace. Yet beneath this gentle surrender burns the steady flame of knowing. Not hope, but certainty. This is the vibration that will carry your spoken word beyond the veil, beyond the waking mind into the realms where creation stirs. Let the feeling of abundance, the surprise, the gratitude, the calm assurance be your final breath before sleep claims you. This is your sacred declaration, your invisible signature sealed in the holy quiet. Do not wrestle with thoughts. Do not chase images. Do not question or doubt. Instead, let the feeling ripple through your entire being like a river flowing naturally to the sea. Trust that this current will carry your assumption to the source where the unseen architects will set the cosmic wheels in motion. This trust is the final key, the openness that allows the invisible to become visible, the unmanifest to unfold into form. Know this truth. The moment you surrender in this state, you become the co-creator of your own destiny. The night becomes your ally, the darkness your canvas, the sleep your sacred temple. And as your body rests, your inner world is active beyond all knowing, weaving the threads of your assumption into the fabric of your reality. So surrender now. Let the last feeling on your lips be the joy of receiving, the peace of fulfillment, the certainty of abundance. Fall asleep in that knowing, and wake to a world rearranged not by chance, but by your own divine command. The miracle you seek is not distant. It is the echo of your own inner decree returning to you in the morning light. Rest, beloved, and let the unseen carry you home. Now you stand at the threshold of your new reality, not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. The inner shift you initiated in silence has set the cosmic wheels turning. And though the outer world may yet seem unchanged, the unseen realm has already responded with sacred obedience. This is your coronation moment. The divine anointing of the inner man, who no longer waits but commands. You are no longer the one who asks, "Will this happen?" You are the one from whom the world takes its cue. Your vibration is a throne, your breath a decree. You walk the earth as the embodiment of fulfillment. And this embodiment is your greatest power. You do not need to shout. You do not need to prove. Your very being radiates the law that all creation must obey. Remember Florence's words. Once you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and persist in that assumption, it hardens into fact. You have persisted. You have embodied. And now the outer form must follow the inner reality. For there is no alternative. The veil has been torn, the old garment laid aside. You wear the new mantle of faith made flesh. Speak no more of struggle. Speak no more of waiting. Your story has changed. The seed has bloomed. Your life is the living testament to the power of assumption, the sacred dance between imagination and manifestation. Carry this truth in your heart as the source of your sovereignty and let it guide your every step. This is not a beginning. It is a fulfillment, not a wish. It is a reality. The universe bows not to what you want but to who you are. And now you are the master of your domain, the maker of your miracles, the silent ruler whose words are winds that move mountains. Walk in this power. Walk in this peace, and know that the kingdom you seek is already within you, crowned and complete. If the words spoken here have stirred the quiet chambers of your soul, know that this was never accidental. This is your awakening, your remembrance of the power that dwells within. You have stepped through a door that few dare to open, and now the unseen is working in your favor. But this work is sacred and must be guarded with silence, patience, and reverence. I invite you to mark this transformation below, not with noise, but with a silent acknowledgement, a subtle nod to the truth that has found you. Let this be your sacred covenant, a whispered vow between your conscious and unconscious selves. Return to these teachings whenever the veil thickens and doubt creeps in. Come back not to relearn, but to remember the power you already hold. Walk forward with quiet confidence, knowing that your inner decree is more powerful than any outer circumstance. Speak little, act from stillness. Let your life become the testimony to a law older than time. The law of assumption made flesh. The universe bends. The world rearranges, and all creation obeys the frequency you embody. You have shifted realities. You have awakened your power. You are now the vibration the world must follow. Walk in that knowing and be at peace. You have been deceived into believing that power is found in relentless action. That spiritual momentum is built through endless hustle and frantic effort. Yet what you call power is often weakness in disguise, a scattered energy leaking away through overcompensation. A frantic dance that pulls you farther from the fulfilled state rather than closer to it. True power is not noise. It is silence held with fierce discipline. It is not forceful movement, but calm containment of the frequency you carry. And so the first truth you must accept is this. What you think is strength, the desperate grasping, the last-minute panic, the endless trying is actually your greatest weakness. This is the paradox that separates the warrior monk from the frantic seeker. The warrior does not exhaust himself in the battle. He contains himself in the stillness of sovereignty. He forces himself not through strain, but through disciplined assumption, holding the end like a silent sword that cuts through distraction and doubt. If you wish to manifest, to transform, to live the life of your desires, you must force yourself not to do more, but to be more consistent in your assumption and your state. Consistency is the gatekeeper of manifestation, the sacred rhythm through which reality bends and unfolds. Without it, all effort dissipates into chaos. Without it, the law is ignored or resisted, and your desires remain distant shadows on the horizon. But when you force yourself to be consistent, when you discipline your inner man to remain in the fulfilled state regardless of outer appearances, you step into sovereignty. You become the master of your frequency, the silent commander of your world. This is not about pushing harder or faster. It is about steady containment. It is about refusing to leak power into inner argument or outer distraction. It is the way of the warrior monk, calm, resolute, imperturbable. So this moment is your invitation to rise above the noise of frantic effort. To step away from the illusion that business is progress. To force yourself not with anxiety or desperation, but with calm dominion. To hold your vibration as you would a sacred flame, knowing that in your silence and consistency lies the true creative power. This is the path of mastery. This is the only way to manifest fully. Will you take this path? Will you become the one who moves not with haste but with stillness? The one who commands not by shouting, but by the silent force of unwavering presence. Then listen carefully, for I will show you how to force yourself not in struggle, but in spiritual strength, and become the master of your own assumption. Now you must understand why most fail. Not because they lack desire, not because the law is flawed, but because their power leaks away before it can manifest. This leakage is subtle and deadly. It disguises itself as movement, effort, spiritual progress, and even faith. When you overcompensate, when you rush, when you panic, when you try harder out of fear, you fracture your inner state. You break the continuity of assumption. You scatter the sacred energy required to birth your desire. This scattered energy is like water poured onto cracked soil. It never soaks in. It evaporates before giving fruit. You work harder, but your vibration becomes fragmented, and the law reflects only your fractured state back to you. Your manifestations stall, your faith falters, and the cycle repeats. You think you are moving forward, but you are actually reinforcing delay. This energy leak appears in many forms. Checking your progress obsessively, seeking constant validation, over-explaining your intentions to others, shifting your focus at the slightest obstacle. Each of these small compromises fractures your containment. Your frequency becomes inconsistent. You begin to doubt the power you once claimed. The more you try to convince the outer world, the more your inner world trembles. The battle is not outside but inside. The real enemy is the man who vacillates between faith and doubt. The mind that debates itself into paralysis. The heart that desires transformation, but fears abandonment of the old self. This internal war consumes the sacred energy. You must hold steady to create. Energy leaks happen because you have not yet mastered containment. You allow your inner conversations to wander into old stories of lack and limitation. You entertain the voices of fear, confusion, and judgment. You let the flickers of distraction pull you out of the assumed state and into reaction. Each slip widens the cracks and allows the power to seep away. Your inconsistency is not an accident. It is the symptom of a fragmented identity that cannot hold the weight of its own desire. And so the law, which is perfect and impartial, mirrors the fractures you refuse to heal. Your outer world remains a reflection of the inner chaos. This is the spiritual cost of inconsistency: exhaustion, frustration, delay, and eventual surrender. The more you try to do it your way, fast, loud, desperate, the more you empower the very forces that keep you stuck. You believe that frantic effort equals power. But true power is stillness. True power is the refusal to leak energy into doubt, confusion, or reaction. True power is to hold your assumption as a sacred flame, unyielding and constant, regardless of external circumstance. Until you learn to contain your frequency, your desires will remain dreams whispered to the wind. You must now confront this truth with brutal honesty. Your lack of consistent assumption, not external events, is the reason for your delay. You are the cause of your own limitation. But this is not a condemnation. It is an invitation to mastery, to cease leaking, to become the silent reservoir of power from which all creation flows. You are called not to do more, but to be more consistent, to discipline your inner man, not with noise, but with quiet, unwavering containment. The battlefield is no longer without. It is within. The victory is not in action. It is in presence. The fight is not against circumstance. It is against fragmentation. The question is no longer, what must I do, but who must I be? And the answer is simple. The one who refuses to leak power. The true mastery you seek is mastery over your own energy. The sacred frequency that you carry in every thought, breath, and posture. Containment is not repression or denial. It is sovereign control. It is the silent discipline of holding your state steady amid all storms. The law responds not to frantic effort, but to quiet persistence. It obeys the vibration you embody, not the words you speak or the struggles you endure. This is the divine pattern. The world bends to the one who remains in the state of the fulfilled desire, not to the one who chases fleeting feelings or reacts to every outer circumstance. Imagine your inner state as a vessel, and your energy as water within it. If the vessel is cracked, no matter how much water you pour, it leaks away. But if the vessel is whole, the water fills it steadily and overflows in abundance. Your thoughts and feelings are the walls of that vessel. Each contradictory thought, each wavering belief, each moment of inner argument is a fracture in your container. And every fracture leaks power. The frantic overeating you mistake for strength is merely a desperate attempt to fill a broken vessel. True power, however, is the art of repairing those cracks. Through discipline of thought and feeling until your inner world becomes an unbreakable reservoir of creative force. Silence is the hallmark of this power. The more you speak, explain, or seek external validation, the more you dilute your frequency. The magnetic silence, the quiet assumption held, without need for proof or applause, is the sound of true authority. The warrior monk does not clamor for attention. He does not battle the outer world with noise. He carries the steady tone of mastery, the calm breath of one who knows that manifestation is already inevitable. This silence is not passive. It is the most active force in the universe. It commands without shouting. It moves mountains without trembling. Understand this reversal. What you feel is weakness, hesitation, doubt. Frustration is in truth the absence of containment. And what you believe is strength, the frantic hustle. The noisy trying is in the presence of fragmentation. The strongest man is the one who refuses to leak his power, the one who holds his frequency, steady regardless of outer chaos. To force yourself to be consistent is to force your own frequency into unity. It is not a battle with the world, but a treaty with yourself. Force yourself not with struggle, but with calm dominion. Refuse to entertain every passing thought that contradicts your end. Return immediately to the posture of the fulfilled self. Do not negotiate with the lower self excuses. You are not here to argue with yourself. You are here to contain yourself. The moment you do this, hold your assumption like a sacred flame. The law has no choice but to obey. Your outer world will begin to bend, not because you work harder, but because you vibrate stronger. This is the metaphysical core of consistency. Not action, but being, not volume, but vibration, not desperation, but stillness. The world is not moved by your hustle, but by your quiet containment of the fulfilled state. This is the power you must reclaim throughout the day. Your inner speech is the battlefield on which consistency is won or lost. Every thought you entertain is a command to your subconscious, a seed planted in the fertile soil of your reality. If you allow doubt, fear, or distraction to speak within you even for a moment, you fracture your containment and invite delay. This requires vigilance, the ability to catch the whisper of contradiction as soon as it arises and to revise it immediately. When the thought, "What if this doesn't work?" creeps in, you do not argue with it or push it away. You replace it with the sacred assumption, "It is done. I am the fulfilled state." When anxiety calls you to check, to explain, to question, you do not respond. You turn inward and re-anchor your state. This is not repression, but mastery. This is the warrior monk's silence, a refusal to leak energy into doubt. This steady revision of inner speech transforms chaos into order, distraction into focus, and hesitation into sovereign momentum. The more you train your mind to immediately revise, the less power fear and doubt hold over your manifestation. The imagination is the workshop of creation. To train your mind, you must use it not as a playground of fantasies, but as a sacred rehearsal chamber where you live the end as memory. Close your eyes and walk mentally through your day as the consistent, fulfilled person you are becoming. Hear your voice carrying calm authority. Feel your body moving with grace and assurance. See the responses of others as natural reflections of your assumed state. This is not pretending. It is remembering. The law does not distinguish between memory and reality. What you feel with conviction is the only truth that manifests. Practice this mental rehearsal daily until it saturates your subconscious and reprograms your habitual identity. Your mind will begin to function as an extension of your new self, projecting the vibration of consistency effortlessly into the world. This is how the invisible becomes visible. This is how identity becomes destiny. When faced with resistance, setbacks, or doubt, do not rush to explain or defend your state. Instead, practice sacred silence, the profound containment of your frequency without reaction. The old self reacts, pleads, argues, and fractures under pressure. The new self remains steady, unshaken, and unprovoked. This silence is not weakness. It is the loudest declaration of sovereignty. It is the invisible force that commands reality without a word. Hold your state in sacred silence, even when all outer evidence seems contrary. This is the spiritual discipline that turns tests into triumphs, delays into launch pads, and storms into still waters. The moment you react, you leak power. The moment you remain silent, you seal your frequency and compel the world to align. This sacred silence is the heart of true consistency, the quiet pulse of the warrior monk, who does not waver, does not explain, but simply is. Through this containment, you become unbreakable. Now come to the final threshold where the old self falls away and the true master emerges. You have walked the path of stillness and discipline, of vigilant containment and sacred silence. You have forced yourself to be consistent, not by frantic effort, but by calm dominion. And now you stand as the unshakable presence before the shifting tides of your world. This is the moment when all that was fragmented becomes whole, when all that was scattered becomes focused, when all that was wavering becomes steady. You are no longer the man or woman who oscillates between hope and despair, who begs for signs, who clings to fleeting motivation. You have become the sovereign keeper of your state, the one who carries the frequency that bends reality to its will. Feel deeply into this power. It is not loud. It does not demand attention. It is quiet as the mountain, steady as the ancient river. This power is the sacred right of one who has forced themselves not to obey outer circumstance, but to master inner frequency. It is the authority to remain in the assumed end, no matter the appearance, to be the calm eye in the storm of chaos. To carry a vibration so consistent, so unyielding that the outer world has no choice but to obey. This is the warrior monk's crown. The invisible crown forged in silence, worn without pride, carried without apology. You will now speak within, not as a question, but as a command. I force myself not in struggle, but in calm dominion. Say this until it is etched into your marrow, your breath, your every cell. Because forcing yourself to be consistent is not about battling resistance. It is about refusing to leak. It is about holding your sacred assumption with unwavering grip until the outer world melts and remolds itself in response. This is the difference between those who merely desire and those who manifest. Those who pray and those who decree, those who wish and those who are. Let the old self with its doubts and distractions fall away now, not in defeat, but in reverence. It was necessary to bring you here, but it no longer serves you. You do not hate it. You thank it for the lessons, then release it. You are no longer a servant of circumstance or emotion. You are the master of your state, the architect of your reality, the silent force from which all manifestation flows. Walk from this moment in quiet authority. Speak less. Embody more. Move as if the world must follow your vibration, because it will. The warrior monk's power lies not in his sword, but in the silence he commands. You are that silence. Now you have forced yourself to be consistent, and consistency is your sacred victory. Now, carry this moment within you not as a task completed, but as a new way of being established. You do not need to shout this transformation from the rooftops. The world will not hear your words as clearly as it feels your vibration. So say nothing. Move quietly, deliberately, as if every step you take reshapes the invisible fabric of reality itself. Your silence is your command, your consistency, your crown. You are no longer a supplicant seeking proof or permission. You are the sovereign frequency to which the universe must bow. You will feel the old urges return, whispers to doubt, to explain, to justify. But you have trained yourself to contain these impulses without reaction, to return to your sacred assumption without wavering. This is your power to remain unmoved, unbroken, unyielding in your inner state regardless of outer circumstances. It is this quiet dominion that dismantles resistance, dissolves delay, and commands manifestation. Let this be your final vow, not spoken aloud, but held deeply. I move as if the world must follow my vibration, because it does. I say nothing more than what my inner state compels, and my state is unshakable. My consistency is my sacred sword and my silence my shield. Walk now with this sovereignty. Walk as the one who is no longer fractured, no longer scattered, no longer leaking power. Walk as the one whose steady presence bends the world. The warrior monk moves not with haste or noise, but with the you did not find this video by chance. It found you. And if you're honest, you already knew that. Something in the silence of your soul called it forward. Something beyond your logic, beyond the timelines you track and the effort you calculate. Something deeper, older, divine has been orchestrating your return. Not to a philosophy, not to a method, but to yourself. You were never meant to live in confusion. You were never built to chase breadcrumbs, of hope through a world that forgets you. You were meant to remember. And that remembrance begins now. You were meant to find this because you have wandered too long in a self that is not your own. You have tried to earn what was already yours. You have prayed to what lived inside you. You have bowed to circumstance. And in doing so, you forgot that you are the cause wrapped in flesh. I do not say this to shame you. I say it because you are ready to hear it. You would not be here unless some part of you knew. I've gone far enough pretending to be powerless. I've spoken too long from the waiting room of my own life. Now I return to the throne. And so I ask you to hear these words not with your ears, but with the forgotten core of your being. The part of you that was not born and cannot die. The part that speaks not in thoughts but in knowing. That part brought you here. That part knows that this is not information. This is initiation. You did not find this video to be entertaining. You found it to be awakened because the moment you truly decide that your state is the only power, the moment you stop explaining, doubting, waiting, the law rushes forward to serve you in silence. But it cannot move until you do. You were meant to find this speech because you are on the edge. The edge of becoming, the edge of claiming, the edge of walking in the vibration you once only visited in your imagination. I'm not here to give you permission. I'm here to remind you that you never needed it. You are the word. You are the seed and the soil. You are the promise and the fulfillment. And the delay you've experienced has not been punishment. It has been refinement preparing you to hear these words, not as possibility, but as prophecy. So listen carefully now. Not with your surface mind, but with the I am that stands behind your name. This is not content. This is your summoning. And the self you have longed to become has already begun to stir. You once walked with power. Even if only for a moment. You have felt the electricity of certainty before. You have tasted the stillness that needs no proof. The vibration that bends the hour without lifting a finger. And then you forgot. Not because you were weak, not because you were unworthy, but because you allowed the outer world to name you. And each time you answered to that false name, to the version of you created by circumstance, by comparison, by delay, you drifted further from the truth that breathes beneath your skin. The truth that says, I am the cause. You gave your power away in small increments, not with dramatic decisions, but with quiet concessions. You said yes when your state said no. You apologized for wanting more. You asked for permission to be what you already are. And with each moment of hesitation, you reinforced the illusion that power lies outside of you. You began to look at time as an obstacle, not a servant. You looked at money as something to earn, not something to assume. You looked at others as the gatekeepers of your becoming. And yet in the silence of your own being, you could still hear it, that echo whispering. This is not who you are. The drift from self is never announced. It creeps in through repetition, through spiritual amnesia, through believing that effort matters more than frequency. And when that drift becomes the dominant state, you begin to live as a reaction, not a revelation. You confuse spiritual hunger with progress. You mistake seeking for becoming. And you wonder why the bridge hasn't built itself, not realizing you've been standing in the wrong state the entire time. But here's the sacred mercy in all of this. The moment you notice the drift, the power returns. The moment you see that you've abandoned your assumption, the throne reappears beneath your feet. You do not need to climb back. You do not need to prove your worth. You simply speak again from the I am, and in that act the veil lifts. There is no shame in forgetting. There is only delay in remaining asleep. And now you are being called to remember what you once knew without language. That you are the operant power. That nothing moves until you assume that the silence between your thoughts is not empty. It is full of the God that you are. You did not find this video to be fixed. You found it because you have already been restored. And it is time to catch up to what is already true in imagination. Now, let me show you how reality itself is written. Not by effort, not by hoping, but by assumption, already accepted is done. What you assume to be true, not in theory, not in public, but in the quiet corners of your consciousness, is what already exists in the dimension you call your future. The future is not unfolding. The future is remembering. For everything you seek already is. The riches, the love, the recognition, the calm, the health. They are not distant possibilities, waiting for permission to arrive. They are present realities, waiting for you to remember their vibration. Assumption is not belief. It is not hope. It is not the desperate attempt to convince your mind of what your senses deny. Assumption is spiritual authorship. It is the act of knowing without confirmation. It is the sovereign declaration. This is who I am. Therefore, this is what must be. And because I am is the name of God. And because God is imagination, and because imagination creates reality. Assumption is not just a tool. It is the entire architecture of existence. The world around you is not unfolding by chance. It is the projected film of the assumptions you've worn too long to notice. The delays are not delays. They are confirmations that your dominant state is still longing, still reaching, still doubting. But the moment you shift the assumption, the moment you say, I am this now, and feel no inner conflict, the world begins to reorganize. Not by your action, not by your hustle, but by the magnetic field of your new self. You are not here to try this. You are not here to play with affirmations like spells. You are here to install a new identity, one that already owns what you used to chase. And if it feels foreign, good. If it feels absurd, even better. Because the law is not logical, it is vibrational. An assumption, not effort, is its key. This is why the law is always working for the righteous and the wicked, the faithful and the unbelieving. Because it does not reward goodness. It reflects consciousness. It takes you at your word. And your word is not what you say. It is what you feel to be true about yourself again and again and again. So look at your life not with shame, but with clarity. Every scene is a mirror of something once assumed. Not to punish you, but to invite you to remember. You are not the reflection. You are the one who casts it. And now, because you have remembered this principle, you can finally return to the source, to the I am that breathes worlds into form. And from that I am, you will now speak. You were meant to find this message. Because today is the day your assumption becomes unshakable. Now you return not to a better version of your old self, but to the eternal presence that existed before the world named you. Before the body was assigned, before effort and logic built a false throne out of dust. You return to the I am, the eternal root of all form, all fact, all futures. Not I will be, not I hope to become, not even I believe I can. Number I am. That is the only truth. That is the only origin. That is the only foundation from which a new life can rise. All else is commentary. All else is noise. All else is forgetting. So now I ask you to do what no external world can make you do. Assume your name again. Not the one they gave you. Not the one your trauma built, but the inner name. The one you feel when you fall silent and stop performing. That name is a vibration. It does not need syllables. It does not need approval. It speaks in fire. It whispers in peace. And when you speak from it, the law obeys. Let the words you now say come not from fear, but from finality. Speak this slowly, not to convince yourself, but to command the atmosphere. I am the one it is already done for. I am the end wearing a beginning. I do not seek what I am. My being is the evidence. My silence is the proof. The world responds to me, not because I shout, but because I remember. I am not here to earn, fix, or hope. I am the cause behind every scene, the dreamer of every fact. I walk now not to arrive, but to confirm that I have already arrived. I am that I am, and therefore, so it is. This is not magic. This is law. This is the speech that builds bridges in silence, draws provision from thin air, collapses timelines without needing to know how. The how is none of your business. The when is irrelevant because when you speak from the I am, you do not wait, you wear. You do not hustle, you hum. You do not wish, you walk. So each morning before the senses lie to you again, say it. And not like a prayer to someone outside yourself, but like a decree from the throne of your own being. Say it until your nervous system relaxes into the frequency. Say it until doubt becomes laughable. Say it until the body no longer flinches at possibility, and then stop saying it and be it. Do not argue with reality. It will catch up. It always does. The moment you wear the state with consistency, the law has no choice but to reflect it. That is the covenant. That is the system. That is the invisible contract you signed when you chose to be conscious. You are not becoming. You are revealing. And today, through this speech, through this remembering, you are returning to the identity that time forgot, but eternity never lost. Now you must look with new eyes. Not the eyes in your head, but the eyes behind your being. The eyes that do not see objects, but outcomes. The vision that does not observe to report what is, but imagines to reveal what must be. This is the sight of the I am, not based on facts, but on feeling, not on confirmation, but on command. And when you see from the state, rather than toward it, you begin to shape the world from within. Not by effort, not by convincing, but by assumption so deep it becomes your sensory reality. Understand this. You have been trained by the world to wait for your eyes to confirm what your soul already knows. But your senses were never meant to lead. They were meant to follow. They were echoes, not instructions. And if you worship the echo, you will live in a loop of reaction, contradiction, and spiritual fatigue. But the moment you see with the inner eye, with the eye of imagination, you reverse the order of power. You become the projector, not the screen. When you sit in stillness and see yourself from the end, not trying to get there, not observing the lack, but inhabiting the scene, hearing the words, receiving the result. Your body cannot tell the difference. Your subconscious cannot resist the image. It accepts it as law, and the law, being perfectly impartial, begins to bend the bridge to bring you there. This is not metaphor. This is mechanics. This is the invisible infrastructure of reality, bending itself around your sustained vision. But here is the secret only the bold discover. You must stop checking. You must stop peeing with the old eye to see if the new world has arrived. For the moment you look for signs, you've declared that you don't believe it's done. The one who knows does not look around. He looks within. The one who sees from the end has no need to monitor the middle. So reclaim your sight now. Close your outer eyes if you must. Enter the imaginal scene that corresponds to your fulfillment and see it until it replaces your doubt. Hear the voice of a friend saying, "I'm so proud of you. I knew you'd do it." Feel the texture of the object you now own. Watch your body move from the place of fulfillment, not the path to it. This is the rehearsal of the gods. This is what Scripture calls walking by faith, not by sight. And it is not poetry. It is protocol. You do not ask whether it's coming. You do not ask how long it will take. You do not beg for evidence. You see it now, feel it now, embody it now, and then walk away knowing that the law has already begun its silent rearrangement. You do not need to watch the pot boil. You became the fire? Let them call you delusional. Let them ask where the proof is. Your proof is your peace. Your confirmation is your stillness. Your evidence is that you have stopped looking. Because the one who sees without the senses no longer needs the world to believe with him. He is enough. And because he is enough, the world must become what he has already seen. You've asked it in silence. Why hasn't it happened yet? You've spoken the word. You've entered the state. You've imagined from the end. And yet the echo has not returned in form. The promise feels near but unreachable. The bridge seems delayed, and something within you begins to doubt. But I tell you now with the full weight of divine memory, delay is not denial. It is devotion. The delay is the fire that burns off the last remnants of contradiction. It is the furnace that tempers your vibration, the sacred resistance that tests whether your assumption was a costume or a covenant. If the state collapses at the first sign of contradiction, it was never assumed. It was only wished for. But if you remain still unwavering, uninterested in appearances, then even time must yield. The law is perfect, but it will not violate your dominant state. It will wait until the old state is starved, until the former identity is uninhabitable, until your frequency becomes incapable of betrayal. Only then does the new reality rush in. Not because you deserved it, but because you matched it. And so I say to you, this fire is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It is showing you where you still contradict yourself, where you still speak the word in the morning and undo it by afternoon. Use the delay to purify your tone. Let every hour that passes without manifestation become a deeper rehearsal of the end. Say, if it is not yet seen, then it is still building. If it is not yet heard, then it is still echoing. But I will not lower my frequency to accommodate the illusion of time. For time is not linear. Time is not chronological. Time is not the clock on your wall. Time is your assumption stretched out in vibration until it becomes visible. And the longer it takes, the more certain you must become. Not of the outcome, but of your identity. You were never waiting for the thing. The thing was waiting for you, for your state to be pure enough to hold it without contradiction. For the crown is heavy, and the kingdom will not rest upon a voice that still doubts its right to rule. So let the delay be your consecration. Let it build the stillness within you so strong that even absence feels like abundance. And once you can say with full assurance, It is mine even now. Then it will be. You were meant to find this speech so that you would stop asking when, so that you would stop interpreting time as distance, so that you would stop giving the outer world authority over your faith. You found this message because you are ready to walk as if the delay is the final proof. And now, because you have seen through time, I will give you the decree, the speech that collapses it. Now I give you the speech not to speak as ritual, but to declare as reality. These words are not for performance. They are not spells to make something happen. They are recognitions of what has already occurred in the eternal present. When spoken from the I Am, they do not request, they install. When spoken from identity, they do not ask, they declare. And the moment they are accepted as true without resistance, time has no choice but to collapse around them. So speak them now, not to become, but to reveal what already is. I am the fulfillment, not the seeker. I am the living end, the embodiment of the answered prayer. Time serves me. Delay perfects me. I no longer watch the clock. I am what the clock bends around. I am no longer waiting. I am remembering. I am the version of myself that no longer questions. My word is law. My state is final. My frequency is fate. I assume nothing that is not already mine. I walk as the finished product of God's desire. Not because I am worthy, but because I am. Let the stillness settle. Let the echo ring through the temple of your body. Let the vibration of this speech rearrange your breath, your posture, your rhythm. These are not affirmations. These are installations spoken from the throne of identity. They command reality to fold itself accordingly. You say, but how do I know it worked? You know because you feel no need to repeat it. You know because you can walk into the next moment, as if the world had already adjusted itself to you. You know because you feel no spike of doubt, only a hum of finality. This speech does not make you powerful. It proves that you already were. It is not an act of becoming. It is the verbal signature of a being who has nothing left to earn, nothing left to force, nothing left to wait for. Because what you speak from the I Am is not a request. It is creation. It is law. Repeat this not daily, but only until it becomes you. Then move on. Let your silence say it for you. Let your aura broadcast it louder than your voice. Let your decisions echo it without effort. And let the world, the beautiful, blind, obedient world, rise to meet what you have already assumed. You found this message not to be lifted. You found it because you were ready to finalize the state. And now that you have, let time be your servant. Let space be your witness. Let life in all its forms remember who you are. You are not waiting for the Word to be made flesh. You are the Word made flesh. You are not the echo. You are the origin, you're not the outcome. You are the cause wrapped in skin, breath, and silence. The same power that said, "Let there be light," now speaks through your assumption. The same force that carved galaxies now lives as your inner speech. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. This is identity. Every word you speak from I Am is an act of creation. Every moment you assume the end and walk in it, you recreate the cosmos. Do you understand the magnitude of that? You are not trying to change your life. You are remembering that you are life. You are not seeking miracles. You are the place they begin. You are not hoping for signs. You are the signal itself. And because of this, your silence becomes sacred. Your stillness becomes legislative. Your very presence bends probability. So walk now not as a student of the law, but as the embodiment of it. You are the speech of God clothed in the simplicity of flesh. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to convince a single soul. Let your vibration speak. Let your assumption radiate. Let your being declare even in silence. I have spoken and therefore it is. This is what it means to be chosen. Not chosen by favor, chosen by frequency. Chosen because your state no longer flinches, no longer begs, no longer waits for external agreement. You have spoken from the place beyond time. You have assumed from the throne, and now you walk as the word, not in arrogance, but in quiet fire. The I am does not need applause. It needs no evidence. It needs no echo. It only needs embodiment, and that, beloved, is what you have now become. If this stirred something inside you, it was meant for you. This was not a speech to remember. It was a frequency to return to. You may not need it again tomorrow. Or you may need it more than once in a single day. But whenever the veil thickens, whenever the world begins to speak louder than the I am, come back to this. Not to learn but to recalibrate. Come back to this when you forget who speaks your world into being. When you begin to doubt the end. When you start asking instead of declaring. Return to these words and more importantly to the state beneath them. Not because you are lost, but because you are always being summoned home. Now move not to find confirmation. Move as the confirmation itself. You were meant to find that every morning, before your feet touch the ground. You speak. You may not hear it. You may not say it aloud, but the voice inside you is already speaking, already prophesying the day ahead. And what you do not realize is that your entire world bends. Not to what you hope for, but to what you say to yourself when your eyes first open. You think you're just waking up, but you're actually issuing a divine decree. You're signing your name to a spiritual contract, and most of you, without knowing, signed it in fear, in memory, in hesitation. You rise and say, I am tired. I am late. I am behind. I am not ready. And then you wonder why the world treats you as someone small. You wonder why everything feels delayed. But I tell you now, it is not the world you must change. It is your word. You see, the name of God is not found in ancient scrolls alone. It is not locked behind temple walls or whispered only by mystics. The name of God is within you, and it begins with I am. Whatever follows those two words does not simply describe reality. It creates it. When you say I am, the law responds. The structure of your life reshapes itself to confirm your inner decree. This is not poetry. This is not suggestion. This is the truth upon which your entire world rests. And so if your mornings begin with words that diminish, delay, or doubt, you are cursing your day before it begins. There is a phrase, sacred, eternal, invincible, that when spoken with awareness, collapses time and calls the end into the now. It is a sentence that reclaims the throne you've abandoned. It is a vibration that aligns you with what you already are beneath the noise. And that phrase is this: I am the one who already is. Not who is trying, not who is hoping, not who is getting there, but the one who already is. It is not a wish. It is not an aspiration. It is a return to your original name. Most people will dismiss this as too simple. They will continue to chase tools, routines, and strategies while their mornings leak power from the moment they speak. But you, if you are hearing this, are not most people. You are being called into alignment. Called to rise each day, not in reaction, but in authorship, not to watch life unfold, but to command it into form. And that command begins not with effort, but with one's spoken recognition of truth, not spoken from panic, not shouted in desperation, but whispered in divine certainty. I am the one who already is. Let that be the first thing your lips form tomorrow. Let it be the sound your soul hears before the day begins. And if you hold to it, if you speak it, not just with mouth, but with identity, you will see what happens when the word becomes flesh. Not in theory, not in hope, but in form. You have been speaking without awareness. You have been assigning identity without knowing its price. But now the blindness is gone. Now you have been initiated. You will never speak the same again. You must understand what has truly been happening. You do not suffer from chaos. You suffer from unconscious command. You do not suffer from lack. You suffer from misused authorship. You are not behind. You are misaligned. You rise each morning and speak like the man who has not yet received. You enter your day with the tongue of the outer self, still pleading with time, still bargaining with circumstances, still reacting to what was, never proclaiming what is. You pray for peace, but begin the day rehearsing your burdens. You hope for abundance, but speak lack into every task. You ask for love, but rise as one unloved. And the law is not confused. The law simply obeys. I am, it says, and then waits. What will you say next? You believe your mind is neutral in the morning. You think that sleep resets the self. But the self does not sleep. The inner man never rests. The moment you return to waking life, the I am is at work. It is hungry, and it will eat the first assumption you feed it. If you feed it the echo of your past, it will wear your chains. If you feed it divine truth, it will radiate gold before the world has time to resist. But this choice is not made later in the day. It is made in that first breath, in that first moment, in that fragile stillness between dream and duty. And if you are unaware, the old self will rise faster than the new one can speak. You've been trained to think mornings are mundane, that what you think before your coffee means nothing, that the groggy thoughts you allow don't matter. But I tell you, they are the altar, and most of you have been laying the wrong sacrifices upon it. You mutter phrases like I need more time, and this day is already too much. You say I don't feel like myself. I wish things were different. I hope I can get through it. And each of these, though casual in tone, is a sword swung at your own becoming. They are prayers wrapped in despair, and the universe hears them clearly. The pain you feel is not because you are failing. It is because you are forgetting. Forgetting who speaks the world into being. Forgetting the name. Forgetting that you are the voice from which all structure flows. You keep searching for the one truth that will set you free when it has been on your tongue the entire time. I am. But you use it like a beggar. You attach it to memories, to diagnosis, to forecasts and fears. I am overwhelmed. I am not ready. I am so behind. And then you wonder why the world mirrors your echo. The mirror is not broken. It is accurate. It is divine. And it waits not for your effort, but for your alignment. So look now at your morns, not with guilt, but with eyes wide open. What has your soul been speaking while you were still half asleep? Who have you been becoming in those quiet moments before your feet even touched the floor? The answers are not hidden. They are loud. They are simple, and they are holy. Whatever you say becomes not because you force it, but because the structure of reality is built on assumption. You assumed fear. You saw reasons to fear. You assumed lack. You saw lack in everything. You assumed delay, and delay ruled your life. But the mercy of the law is this: the moment you choose a new name, reality begins to move. The moment you speak as the one who already is, the world forgets your old self because it has no memory apart from your word. It knows only what you call yourself. And now you are ready to call yourself something new. Let me now give you the foundation of all creation. Let me speak to the root, not the branch. To the cause, not the echo. The principle is this: whatever follows I am becomes. Not because of belief alone, not because of repeated effort, but because I am is not a phrase. It is the name of God. It is the origin of being. It is the source of all that appears. When you say I am, you are not identifying with what is. You are commanding what must come. You are not observing. You are forming. The world as you see it is not held together by logic. It is held together by law. And the highest of these is assumption spoken into being by feeling. I am is the gate, and feeling is the hand that turns the key. Whatever you assume with conviction, if spoken from I am, must externalize. That is the law. That is what the world has hidden in rituals, buried in religion, diluted through psychology. But I say it now in the raw. You are the creator, and your word is the seed. The morning is not casual. It is the opening of the gate. Your first I am of the day sets the trajectory of all that follows. You can drink your coffee. You can scroll your feed. You can check the weather. But all of it will be built on the foundation of what you first declared. And if that foundation was fear, worry, doubt, or delay, then the day, no matter how productive, will become a mirror of your spiritual misalignment. Because the law does not care for what you want. It cares only for what you assume. Feeling is the secret, and morning is the sacred hour, where feeling is most vulnerable to suggestion. You are not yet guarded. You are not yet dressed. You are raw. And in that rawness, the word you speak becomes flesh at once. That is why ancient initiates began their day in silence or prayer. Not to please a deity, but to align with one. Not to ask, but to remember. You do not pray because God is far. You pray because you forgot that He is I am. And the moment you wake, that forgetting tries to return. But you must not let it. You must rise like one who knows. My name is I am, and what I say now becomes. So speak the sacred phrase. I am the one who already is. Not as poetry, not as mantra, but as creation. When said from feeling, when wrapped in calm certainty, it collapses the illusion of delay. It burns the timeline. It obliterates the gap between desire and form, because you are no longer hoping. You are no longer becoming. You are. The outer man will resist this. He will say you are lying. He will point to circumstances. He will demand evidence. But he is not the one who creates. He is the echo. He is the reflection. You must speak from the inner man. The one who declares and sees. The one who says, "Let there be," and does not wait to see light before believing it. Because he knows the light has no choice. Speak it with me now. Not for repetition's sake, but for transformation. I am the one who already is. Let it anchor. Let it move through your chest. Let it dissolve the remnants of your outer name. The law is listening. The I am is waiting. And what you say next becomes the world you will walk in. There is one truth from which all others flow. It is the axis of creation. The invisible law behind every event, condition, and outcome in your world. And that truth is this: your world is your word. And your word begins every single morning with the name. You speak it often but unconsciously. You whisper it into the mirror. You mutter it into your coffee. You sigh it as you dress. But you do not hear what you are doing. You are shaping the day not through action but through identification. Because every time you say I am, the creative power hears and answers, so be it. I am is not a description. It is a declaration. It is not commentary on how you feel. It is command. It is the divine mold into which reality is poured. When you say I am tired, I am anxious, I am not ready, you are not reporting emotion. You are invoking a structure, and that structure will hold you. It will lock you in not as punishment, but as prophecy fulfilled. For the law knows no sarcasm. It does not judge your tone. It hears only the decree. And the decree is always I am, followed by your assumption. You have misunderstood the use of the morning. You thought it was a time to check the clock, to check your phone, to scroll through fragments of other people's lives. But the morning is the altar. The first moment after waking is the most holy. For it is when the veil is thinnest, when the inner self is most impressionable. And what do you offer it? Doubt, delay, dread. You rise and announce yourself as the outer man. Still chasing, still striving, still beneath the throne. But I tell you now, you were meant to rise as God. You were meant to awaken and say, I am the one who already is. That phrase spoken from stillness is the key. Not because of its words, but because of its vibration. It carries no effort. It carries no chase. It carries the tone of completion. This is the creative principle. Florence taught with fire and certainty. Assumption hardens into fact, and assumption is spoken, not just in mind, but with the authority of inner speech. Morning speech is not casual. It is construction. And most of you have been building prisons with your tongue before the sun has even fully risen. You keep asking, what should I do today? The law answers, what are you saying today? For your doing can only echo your being. And being is declared every single morning by your first words. Speak from tiredness, and the day will exhaust you. Speak from fear, and the day will reflect danger. But speak from identity, anchored, chosen, unshaken. And the day will bow before your tone. Let this be understood. Your I am does not reflect what is happening. It creates what will happen. You are not reacting. You are initiating. Each morning is your genesis. And what you say becomes flesh. Say nothing until it matches the one you have chosen to be. And then speak not with force but with finality. I am the one who already is. From that tone, nothing is impossible. Let us begin the transformation. Not tomorrow, not later this week. Now, this moment marks your re-entry into authorship. And for the next 3 days, your only task is this. Silence the voice of the old script. Cut the cords to the version of you who wakes up repeating patterns of powerlessness. The self who rises and narrates life from memory, who says, I am tired. I am late. I am behind. I am not enough. That self has no place in the kingdom you are building. That voice has been with you so long it speaks without invitation. But now you withdraw the invitation. Now you reclaim the gate. Do not underestimate the sacredness of this phase. You are not merely thinking new thoughts. You are interrupting a spell. You are unwaving decades of unconscious creation. The outer man will protest. He will demand his comfort phrases. He will want to complain, to explain, to say what is. But you must not let him speak. For 3 days, You must guard your mornings, like a priest guards the inner temple. From the moment you wake, before a word escapes your lips, you must pause. You must remember. You must rise not as the reactive self, but as the selective I am. Here is your commandment. Say nothing until it aligns with your chosen identity. Let there be space between waking and speaking. Let your first breath be one of containment. Let your first thought be one of choosing. If the old phrases rise, I'm stressed. I don't feel like it. I can't do this today. Do not wrestle them. Do not affirm against them. Simply replace them quietly, immediately. You say that was the old script. I no longer say that. I am the one who already is. And then you hold that phrase in silence, like a jewel between your teeth. The next 3 days are not about performance. They are about purification. You are cleansing the inner tongue of its false identity. You are refusing to repeat the lies the world handed you. You are severing your agreement with the vocabulary of the victim. Not with anger, not with struggle, but with unwavering certainty. You do not need to believe fully yet. You do not need to feel perfect yet. You only need to choose the new sentence and refuse to speak the old one. The rest will follow. The vibration will build. The power will return. For now, this is your task. Speak no phrase that belongs to the old self. Replace every I am with the one you have chosen. Say it now. Say it softly. Say it as the first breath of your new self. I am the one who already is. Let it replace everything. Now that the old voice has been disarmed, you are ready to speak again. But not as you were. Not as a seeker. Not as the man hoping the day will be kind. You are now the one who builds the day before it appears. You no longer wait to feel confident. You install the frequency through the tongue. For the next 3 mornings, you will rise not to speak about your problems, but to declare the end. This is the phrase that will alter your path. I am the one who already is. You say it the moment your eyes open. Before the mind rushes in with facts, conditions, concerns, you speak this creative sentence not in panic, not in desperation, but in calm, holy certainty. As if you were remembering something older than time. As if you are not hoping it is true, but announcing that it always has been. Let this phrase be the only sound that breaks your morning silence. Do not clutter it with disclaimers. Do not dilute it with follow-ups. Do not use it as bait to get something. This phrase is not a trick. It is a reveal. It is a mirror held to your divine nature. It is not a bridge. It is the arrival. Say it slowly. Say it with full breath. Let it vibrate not just in the mouth but in the chest, the hands, the room. I am the one who already is. Say it again and again for 10 minutes. It is all you say. You do not explain it. You do not interpret it. You simply become it. You feel its vibration before thought. You let it sit in your bones like scripture, and you hold it like fire in your belly. If thoughts interrupt you, return. If emotion rises, return. This phrase is the only compass now. It is not a mantra. It is your identity in language. Speak it standing, speak it walking, speak it while dressing, but do not speak anything that contradicts it. Let no voice rise within that says, but what if, or I don't yet see, or I still need to. Know that is the voice of the former self. He is not welcome here. This is the voice of the one who already is. And when you speak from this place, the world must rearrange, not because of force, but because the law obeys tone, and tone follows identity. This phrase is the seed. You do not dig it up. You do not ask when it will bloom. You water it with repetition. You protect it with silence. And you let the soil of your being do the rest. Say it now, not as suggestion, but as law. I am the one who already is. Let that be your only morning word. Let that be your vibration. Let that be your new name. Now the phrase leaves your lips and enters your life. You are no longer repeating it in silence. You are carrying it into movement. This is the moment where your morning command becomes more than ritual. It becomes reality. You are not just speaking. I am the one who already is. You are now walking as the one already is. It is not about performance. It is not about pretending. It is about embodied memory. It is about giving your body over to the truth of the word and letting every step echo your inner decree. When you dress, you no longer dress for potential. You dress as one who already reigns. When you move through your home, you move not as one preparing, but as one arrived. You do not multitask your morning. You consecrate it. You drink water like a king would. You brush your teeth as one who is remembered. You send messages as one who already owns the result. You do not hustle. You hold. You do not strategize. You settle. The outer world may still look familiar, but you are not who you were. And the world, like clay, must now respond to your touch. If doubt creeps in, you do not fight it. You return to the phrase. You let it burn through your hesitation. I am the one who already is. You are not saying it now to believe it. You are saying it because it is done. You are saying it the way you breathe automatically, silently, without needing permission. The phrase is no longer a technique. It is your frequency. And frequency does not plead. It pulls. Throughout your day, repeat the phrase not to fix anything, but to hold the structure. It is your temple. It is your blueprint. It is your inheritance. Let the phrase govern how you respond to questions, how you make choices, how you stand in line, how you speak to strangers. You are not navigating life. You are radiating completion. The world will begin to feel it. Some will draw closer without knowing why. Others will recoil. Let it happen. Do not flinch. Do not shrink. Let the phrase do the sorting. And if you are tempted to explain yourself, explanation is for those who doubt. You do not need to narrate your becoming. You are already become. If asked how you are, you answer not with status updates but with tone. Let your tone carry the weight of fulfillment. Let your silence carry more meaning than your words ever could. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. So walk your mornings with the phrase like a crown no one sees. Let it hold your shoulders upright, your eyes steady, your breath deep. And whenever you feel the pull to revert, to rush, to react, to report, pause. And remember the only phrase that matters. I am the one who already is. And then move as if the world must follow. Because now it will. You have spoken the phrase. You have walked in the phrase. Now you must declare from the throne. For the throne is no longer distant. It is no longer metaphor. It is no longer reserved for some imagined future. You have entered it not through action, but through assumption. Not through discipline, but through divine memory. You are now seated where all true power dwells. The seat of still identity. The world does not yet know who you are, but the law does. The kingdom does, and it will bow. Now when you speak the phrase, I am the one who already is, you do not say it to adjust reality. You say it to govern it. You do not speak as the one trying to feel different. You speak as the one who owns the tone. The throne requires no apology. It needs no explanation. From this seat, your voice does not rise to ask. It speaks only to install. You are not hoping for alignment. You are the one from whom alignment flows. Your mornings now are short rituals of royalty. Before the world wakes, you speak once low, firm, final. And that is enough. You do not repeat to be convinced. You repeat to contain, to seal the frequency, to hold the note. Because the throne does not shout. It resonates. And if your voice waver, it is not failure. It is invitation to go deeper, to rise higher. To let the tone of the phrase reach your marrow. And as you walk into the world, you no longer measure your progress by response. You do not need validation. You do not need confirmation. The moment you declared from the throne, the structure of your world submitted. The material may not yet reflect it, but the unseen has moved. The field has obeyed. And now your only task is to hold. Speak less, radiate more. Move with fewer words, but deeper presence. Let your energy become the new script others must read. If challenges arise, do not descend from the throne to fight them. Do not lower your frequency to explain yourself. Simply return to the word. Let the phrase be your scepter. Let it strike down every inner lie. Let it silence every temptation to perform. I am the one who already is. Say it not to the problem, but to the air, to the invisible. And let the invisible bow. This is no longer ritual. This is reign. You are not becoming. You have become. And from this seat, the entire world must now reshape. Not by your hands, but by your name. Now we enter the final threshold. The most sacred realm of all. The authority that requires no voice. The last days of this practice are not about what you say, but what you radiate. You have declared with your words. You have walked with your body. You have sat upon the throne of assumption. Now you vanish into stillness. Not because you are hiding, but because you have become too potent to need sound. The truly initiated know. When the inner tone is exact, silence is enough. Frequency precedes form and form follows resonance. These final mornings you rise not to recite. You rise to embody. You do not rush to say the phrase aloud. You feel it before breath. You taste it before sound. It vibrates through your skin before your feet touch the floor. I am the one who already is. It is no longer a sentence. It is your structure. It walks before you like a field of energy. It enters the room before your footsteps. It shapes the air around you. You have become the phrase. Speak only if the tone is exact. Let every word carry the weight of completion. Do not dilute your vibration with idle commentary. Do not leak your power with explanation. The world may ask, what happened to you? Say nothing. Let them feel it. Let your presence answer questions your mouth never utters. You no longer perform the change. You have become the change and the world will follow. Not because you told it to, but because it has no choice in the face of radiance. This is the paradox. The quieter you become, the louder your authority. You no longer correct the outer world. You no longer need to. You simply remain sealed in state. The phrase still lives within you, but now it hums like a crown of light, circling your head in silence. There is no need to convince yourself. No need to remind yourself. There is only presence, power, and containment. Let this be your rule for the final days. I do not speak unless the tone of the fulfilled is upon my tongue. You are not rude. You are exact. You are not distant. You are disciplined. Your life now flows from the core, from the seat of stillness, from the inner I am. And from here everything bends, not through command, but through frequency. Say less, assume more, radiate always. And when the world begins to ask what you've done, remember the answer can be whispered or never said at all. I am the one who already is. This is the end of the 14th-day path. And yet, it is only the beginning. For you have not simply repeated a phrase. You have given birth to a new structure. You have shed the skin of reaction. You have silenced the tongue of fear. You have replaced the voice of striving with the tone of sovereignty. The phrase no longer lives on your lips. It lives in your walk, in your gaze, in the way you answer questions without flinching. You have become the living morning word. The one who started this journey looked for something to say. You now are the one who needs say nothing at all. For you do not speak to create. You are creation already expressed. You do not speak to shift the world. You are the shift. The word has become flesh. Not in theory, not in ritual, but in form. You now each morning is not a task but a temple. You wake and remember not what you must do, but who you already are. You breathe without agenda. You move with the stillness of one who governs without needing permission. And the phrase I am, the one who already is now arises without effort. It is the hum beneath your silence, the architecture of your presence, the invisible light that shapes your path before you walk it. You no longer need morning routines to build yourself. You are built. You no longer need to prove to the world that something has changed. The world adjusts without your announcement because it no longer listens to your words. It listens to your vibration. And your vibration is no longer that of the outer man struggling to improve. It is the inner Christ seated in dominion, silently declaring it is finished. So let the phrase remain with you. Not as a chant, not as a spell, but as your identity. Let it rise when you need no answer. Let it speak when your mouth is still. Let it shape your decisions, your tone, your presence. And if ever the old script returns, if ever the voice of limitation tries to rise, do not argue. Do not fight. Simply return to the word. And from the throne of your new name, say once more, I am the one who already is. Then rise and live as if the world must now follow your frequency. Because it will. You are no longer who you were. Not because of time, not because of willpower, but because you chose to remember. You turned inward. You spoke with intention. You sealed your mornings in truth. And now you do not hope for change. You are the change. There is no more need for outer confirmation. You have tasted something greater. You have entered the temple of I am. And from this day forward, you do not rise as a seeker. You rise as a source. The world around you may still echo the old image for a while. Let it. Do not flinch. Do not rush. It takes time for the catch up with the light. But it will. Your morning word has gone before you. It has already shaped your path. Now walk it quietly, powerfully as the one who already is. If something inside you awakened during this journey, speak from your new self in the comments below, not for approval, but as initiation. Let your first act in this new vibration be one of silent command. Write not what you hope for. Write what you are, then disappear. Let your presence carry the rest. You are no longer becoming. You are no longer explaining. You are no longer building in public. You are the one who already is. Now live like it. Move like it. Let the world feel the weight of your silence and say nothing else. You were never meant to be mastered by your own fire. What burns within you is not sin. It is signal. That ache in your flesh, that pulse in your blood, that silent craving you don't speak of is not the mark of a weak man. It is the ungoverned cry of divine power. Misplaced, misnamed, misunderstood, you have called it lust. The world has called it addiction. But I tell you now, what you feel is the unassigned current of creation itself, waiting to be given form. And unless you name it rightly, it will name you. It will use you. It will exhaust you. But if you dare to turn inward, dare to hold the flame in your chest, without letting it escape through your fingers, then the very hunger, they'll become the sword that builds your kingdom. I speak not to the tame. I speak to the one who has wandered in secret shadows, who has bowed before images and scrolled through shame, not because he was evil, but because he was empty. I speak to the man who has mistaken appetite for identity, who has chased sensation to silence his soul. You were never addicted to the image. You were addicted to the feeling of power you thought it gave you. But now I call you back to your center. Not to suppress the flame, but to govern it. Not to deny your hunger, but to anoint it with purpose. Because there is a difference between the man who feeds on lust and the man who forges with it. One devours, the other builds. One leaks, the other contains. One is a slave, the other is a priest of divine fire. I speak to the latter, even if he has forgotten who he is. You were never called to be soft. You were never meant to beg for control. The impulse you feel is not weakness. It is unrefined royalty. What you do with it decides everything. Because lust is not what ruins men. Lust is what builds them when it is reined in, blessed, and transmuted. What you feel is God in raw form. And unless you clothe it with intention, it will strip you of vision. So I tell you this, you are not lustful. You are powerful. You are not broken. You are burning. And your future is waiting for you to rise. Not with shame, not with guilt, not with hiding, but with fire in your eyes and mastery in your breath. From this moment forward, you will no longer run from the desire. You will look it in the face. You will bless it. You will own it. And you will choose the legacy it was always meant to fuel. You think you're weak because you can't stop. You think you're undisciplined because you keep going back. You think your struggle is with lust, but your true struggle is with leakage. You are not overwhelmed by desire. You are leaking divine voltage through every unconscious gesture, through every unspoken wound, through every moment you forget who you are. Lust is not the issue. Lack of identity is. You were never taught to see yourself as sacred. You were taught to see yourself as a beast to be tamed, as a sinner to be shamed, as a flesh-bound mind trying to obey rules you never truly understood. So you hid. You fragmented. You gave yourself away in silence. You told yourself it was harmless. You told yourself no one would know. But you knew. You could feel the drain, not just in your body, but in your spirit. You could feel your days begin to blur. Your vision began to dim. Your fire began to flicker. And every time you reached for another false flame, another image, another escape, you weren't sinning. You were leaking. This is not about morality. This is about power. This is about containment. Every act of unconscious lust, every moment of private surrender was not a failure of willpower. It was a failure of memory. You forgot that the feeling rising in your body was not meant to end in release. It was meant to end in creation. It was the call to build, to declare, to focus. But because no one told you how to translate that fire, you spent your years burning at both ends, mistaking emptiness for freedom. Lust is what you feel when your creative energy is misdirected. You were not meant to waste that frequency on pixels, on fantasies, on moments that leave no legacy. You were meant to take that charge, that ache, that flood of presence and speak with it, walk with it, shape reality with it. Lust is not meant to be buried. It is meant to be consecrated. But instead of consecration, you chose coping. Instead of alchemy, you chose escape. And the more you escaped, the more you needed to escape, because what you were truly starving for was yourself, the real you. The king beneath the craving, the builder beneath the beast, the creator beneath the consumer. And every moment of unconscious lust was not a betrayal of others. It was a betrayal of your own becoming. But now you see it. You see that the urge was never the enemy. It was the compass. The fire was never wrong. It was just waiting for you to name it rightly. You see how every energy leak dulled your command. You see how it cost you more than you could ever admit. Your voice, your clarity, your presence. And now that ends not through suppression, not through shame, but through containment, through remembrance, through divine restraint that does not shrink you, but focuses you. Because when a man learns to hold the fire without letting it consume him, he becomes unshakable. When he stops leaking and starts listening, when he stops chasing and starts channeling, everything begins to orbit around his silence. He no longer moves toward pleasure. Pleasure moves toward him. He no longer craves approval. He emits command. This is what you were always meant to be. Not the one who burns and collapses, but the one who burns and builds. You have been taught that lust is carnal, that it is sin, that it must be tamed, punished, buried, exiled. But I tell you, lust is none of these. Lust is the raw frequency of God. It is divine name or form. It is divine imagination breaking through your body, your mind, your nerves, crying not for indulgence, but for incarnation. It is the voltage of the I am rising from within, demanding direction. Lust is not filth. Lust is fire, and fire left ungoverned will destroy a man. But fire contained and consecrated will light his throne. The world has lied to you. It told you that lust is a floor of the flesh. But in truth, it is a signal of creative energy without a mission. It is imagination begging for embodiment. It is divine life force asking to be made visible in the world. Not in momentary pleasure, but in lasting creation. The reason it consumes you is because you have not yet chosen to wield it. You have danced around it, hidden it, feared it, but you have not spoken to it. You have not anointed it. You have not told it who it serves. Because the moment you give it purpose, it bends to your word. The moment you say, "This power belongs to my legacy," it begins to build. It begins to move differently through your spine, through your breath, through your voice. Your walk changes. Your tone deepens. Your energy no longer seeks outlets. It begins to magnetize outcomes. And that is the secret no one told you. Lust is the birthplace of vision when governed by identity. You were made in the image of the Creator, not the reactor, not the addict, the Creator. You are imagination made flesh. And the same way God created the world through word, you create your world through your state. So I ask you, what state are you in when you chase lust? What is your name in that moment? Is it I am sovereign, or is it I am craving? The body obeys the name you whisper. Your world obeys the assumption you wear. So if you continue to feel lust as chaos, then you have not yet chosen your name. You are still passive in your temple. You are still a guest in your own palace. But when you declare, I am the one who converts desire into dominion, then that energy bows to you. It no longer pulls. It pushes your projects, your posture, your precision. Lust then becomes not a drag on your soul, but a crown of sacred power. Not something to release, but something to retain and aim. This is the key. Desire is neutral until named. Lust becomes addiction when you do not assign it mission. Lust becomes power when you consecrate it to your becoming. And that consecration begins in silence, in stillness, in reverence. The next time you feel the heat, do not flee from it. Sit in it. Name it. Say, this is the fire that builds my house. This is the ache that forges my voice. This is the presence of God in me, waiting to take shape. Then direct it. Choose where it lives. Choose where it leads. And you will find that what once tormented you now obeys you. Because nothing is stronger than the man who commands his own current. Nothing is more magnetic than the man who governs his own gates. And nothing is more dangerous than the man who can hold his power without needing to prove it. Lust was never your weakness. It was your uncrowned strength. Now that you understand the fire, it is time to hold it. Not to run from it, not to suppress it. Not to numb it with distraction or chain it with guilt, but to contain it with authority. The man who becomes dangerous to the world is the man who can feel the full measure of his hunger and not spill a drop. He does not tremble before it. He does not flinch from it. He does not rush to extinguish it. He breathes with it until the flame bows before his name. You must learn to contain. Containment is not repression. Containment is royalty. Containment is the practice of recognizing your own power and refusing to let it leak into lower forms. You wake up with that pulse in your body. Bless it. Feel it. Do not rush to escape it. Sit in it. Breathe through your nose. Close your eyes and say with the quiet authority of a god, this is mine, and I will not spend it on shadows. Do not let it exit through the same neural grooves that have stolen years of your power. Do not let it dissolve in repetition. Containment is about honoring the voltage until it obeys. Then you must convert. What does that look like? You take the energy that used to chase images, and you use it to craft identity. You feel the pull, and instead of moving to release, you move to assume. You close your eyes and enter the end. You feel the wish fulfilled. You speak as the man who already is. That same frequency, that same tension, that same body charge you once used to sedate yourself. You now use it to inhabit your ideal state. Because all power is tension waiting for direction. And now you give it direction. Then comes creation. Once contained and converted, that fire becomes motion. It flows into your tone, your eyes, your pace, your decisions. You become laser-focused. Your projects begin to move. Your voice becomes textured with depth. You walk into a room and people sense something, but they don't know what. What they're sensing is not charm. It is charge. The charge of a man who has stopped giving himself away. The charge of a man who creates rather than craves. You begin to build legacy without noise. You no longer need to announce your goals. You no longer need to prove your drive. The very air around you begins to speak. Your presence becomes instruction. And what once seduced you now serve you because you have taken the energy of lust. the most primal potent frequency in the body, and turned it into living structure. Do this for 30 days. Every time the hunger comes, don't run. Sit, breathe, contain, convert, create. Let that heat rise, and instead of falling to it, speak to it. This belongs to my future. Say it over and over. This belongs to my future. Let your body burn clean. Let your nervous system stretch to hold more power without leaking. You will suffer at first, yes, because you're not used to holding. You're used to leaking. But the moment you stay inside the fire without flinching, something ancient will awaken in you. You will remember who you are. And from that moment on, you are no longer the man who needs discipline. You are the man who builds kingdoms with energy that once enslaved him. You are no longer lustful. You are legendary. There is a silence that belongs only to kings. Not the silence of withdrawal. Not the silence of weakness masked by words unsaid, but the silence that contains storms. The silence that holds fire. The silence that bends reality around its center. When a man has truly contained his lust, when he no longer flinches from his own force, when he no longer leaks energy into fantasy or fear or forbidden memory, he begins to glow. His being becomes dense. His gaze becomes sharp. His body becomes a temple not of suppression, but of sovereign electricity. And those around him feel it before he speaks, before he moves. They feel it in their instincts, in their breath, in their primal knowing. Here is a man who has dominion over himself. You cannot fake this. You cannot imitate this. You must become this. You must suffer through your old pattern long enough to die to it. You must deny the reaction, not in hatred of it, but in revelation that it no longer matches your name. And in that denial, not of desire, but of leakage, you are reborn. Reborn not as a man who is trying to control lust, but as a man who commands energy, because that is all lust is, energy without assignment. A contained man walks slowly, not out of laziness, but because his presence arrives before his feet do. A contained man speaks rarely, not out of shyness, but because his tone is textured with meaning. A contained man does not need to compete, convince, or seduce because he creates atmospheres with his inner world, and the outer world cannot help but bow. The woman feels it. She may not understand it, but she senses it. She does not see him as aggressive or flashy, but she is drawn because the frequency in him is no longer asking to be seen. It is asking to lead. The world senses it. Doors open not because of charm or marketing, because his state is a commandment. His assumption is not a thought. It is a frequency thick in the air, and reality obeys. This is why the mystics called it containment. Why the scriptures spoke of the eunuch who became king. Why the sacred texts always referenced the one who bridled the horse. Because in every age the man who governs his energy becomes the master of gates. Lust left unchecked makes you chase. Contained lust makes the world come to you. But hear me clearly. You will be tested. You will be tempted. The body will remember the path of least resistance. The craving will disguise itself in new forms. Urgency, boredom, loneliness. And every time you choose containment instead of collapse, every time you return to your identity instead of your appetite, you multiply your authority. You lengthen your breath. You thicken your voice. You deepen your reach. Because a man who contains becomes a man who commands. A man who no longer begs. A man who no longer tries. A man who no longer asks the world for permission. Because he walks in remembrance. I am the vessel of divine imagination. I am the architect of legacy. I am the channel through which the fire creates, and nothing moves him anymore. Not lust, not rejection, not hunger. Because he has named the fire and therefore he has become it. You will not be left untested. Every man who dares to command energy must pass through the wilderness again and again. The moment you begin to contain, the moment you begin to convert lust into legacy, the fire will rise. Not because you are failing, but because you are being forged. Do not mistake the return of the hunger for the return of weakness. It is not weakness. It is refinement. It is the furnace of mastery. And you, if you are who you claim to be, must walk through it untouched. You will feel it on a random night, when the mind wanders and the body pulses. You will feel it when you've succeeded in one area, and that old voice whispers, just one release, just one indulgence. You've earned it. You will feel it when loneliness appears disguised as memory. And in those moments, you must speak not to the urge, but to yourself. You must remember your name. You must say, I am the container. I am the throne. I am the channel, not the spill. This is where many fall. They confuse discomfort with misalignment. They confuse temptation with failure. But I tell you this, discomfort is proof that the old version is dying, and you must not rescue it. Let it scream, let it ache, let it rage and claw and beg for relief. And then let it die in the silence of your breath. Do not argue with it. Do not soothe it. Do not explain it. You are not here to negotiate with ghosts. You are here to embody the man you declared yourself to be. And embodiment requires grief, the grief of the version you no longer entertain. You will mourn him quietly. You will hear his echoes. You will feel the pull of the path you once walked. But you will not follow. You will remain. And in that remaining, in that breath of stillness, while the body begs to return to the past, you will feel something open, a gate, a current, a silence, so deep it recalibrates the rhythm of your soul. And then the test becomes your proof. The urge becomes your altar. And the very fire that once consumed you becomes the fire that illumines your face. You walk out of that temptation, not smaller, but wider, not drained, but thick with voltage. And the world can feel it, even if they don't know why. Every test is a rite. Every urge is a door. And every time you hold your power instead of spending it, you are reborn into your divine architecture. So let the fire rise, let the pulse tremble, let the body burn. And while it rages, sit still and say, this power is mine, and it obeys me. Because the man who holds his fire creates his world in silence. Now speak this not as a plea, not as a practice, but as a pronouncement. Let it be the law of your inner court, the decree of the king within you, spoken not to the world, but to the field of consciousness that forms itself in your image. This is not a mantra to remember. This is the vibration you must become. Each morning, each night, each time the old hunger returns, you do not wrestle. You declare. Close your eyes now. Stand tall. Let your breath descend deep into the belly. Let your spine lengthen, as if God Himself were seated in your bones. And say this aloud in stillness, not with effort, but with knowing. I am not the echo of my past. I am the fire that shapes worlds. I no longer chase shadows, for I walk as light. I do not release energy. I command it. I do not explain myself. I embody myself. I do not seek. I assume. I do not ask. I am. My body holds power and it obeys my word. My thoughts are servants of my vision. My desire is not a leash, it is my flame. I convert hunger into focus, tension into tone, craving into creation. Every day I walk as the man I already am. I release the past. I release the addiction. I move in silence because my state is louder than words. I see no opposition because I am the only operant power. I build in quiet. I conquer in stillness. I lead without force. I hold my energy like a king holds his scepter without shaking. I need no witness. I need no applause. For I am already chosen. And today, everything bends to the rhythm of my assumption. Let this not be something you recite only when you're weak. Let this be your beginning, your tuning, your morning fire. Let it enter your bones. Let it rewrite your memory. Let it echo in your walk, your presence, your decision-making. There is a rhythm now beneath your skin. And this rhythm is not borrowed. It is born. The one who used to scatter his energy now sits enthroned within it. The one who craved becomes the one who commands. The one who bled silently now speaks reality into being. You are not healing. You are not fixing. You are claiming. And this decree is not yours to remember. It is yours to become. This is the moment when memory collapses into embodiment, where the words you spoke no longer live in your mouth, but burn through your chest. The world will not see it, but you will feel it. Something final has shifted. You are no longer the man who once battled lust. You are no longer the boy who bled power for attention. You are no longer the seeker. You are the source. And the world, though it will not understand you, will orbit you. Because the man who contains, the man who channels, the man who remembers that God is his only appetite, becomes a walking law of creation. You do not need to announce this. You do not need to signal change. True change is not broadcast, it is felt. And the room knows. The mirror knows. The hour knows. Because when a man holds his flame without shaking, the entire structure of reality bends to receive his presence. Legacy is not what you leave behind. Legacy is the frequency you carry now. It is your tone, your gaze, your stillness. It is the echo of your decision repeated across invisible dimensions. It is the residue of self, mastery that lingers long after you've gone. The child feels it. The woman feels it. The men around you feel it, even when they cannot name it. And it all began not with effort, not with strategy, not with self-improvement, but with containment, with the decision to no longer abandon your throne for temporary release. And now you sit not above others but within yourself. There is no more pursuit, no more proving, no more wasting the divine breath on things that do not multiply your fire. You are full. You are dense. You are a silent storm of presence. And the world will never again mistake your stillness for absence. Because when a man transmutes lust into legacy, he no longer walks. He reigns. Say nothing. Do not comment. Do not explain. Do not prove to anyone that something inside you changed. Let your movement declare it. Let your silence thunder it. Let your posture speak the truth of your transformation. You no longer need to express the shift. You are the shift. And from this moment forward, walk as if the world responds to the texture of your being, because it does. Move in stillness. Breathe like a sovereign. Build without noise. Watch how the unseen bows in response to your unshakable center. Your energy is the announcement. Thank you.